Thanks for being here. This is Truthseekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truthseekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat room during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truthseekers. Truthseekers.
All these ancient prophecies telling us that the world will be transformed.
Wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can he steal? It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can he steal? He makes all this stuff up and claims that it's all true. The aliens want to eat us. Be careful that they don't get you. It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can you steal? It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can you steal?
This is where if I have a live audience, I get everybody to hug each other. I say, give your neighbor a handshake or a hug, whatever you feel is appropriate to you. And that way everybody feels the love a little more. I will never believe it, I will never believe it. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you need 25,000 more years, I don't know, buddy. But look, this is really compelling information, and it's going to get a lot more intense. It's coming up in a couple days here on Sunday, so if you haven't already signed up, we have reopened the cart. We still have the payment plan in place. That account, I believe, is real. I've watched it for a long time, and he says a lot of really provocative stuff there that has definitely caught my attention on many, many occasions. I've heard this briefing many times. Incredibly, incredibly sad, but probably a lot more than just what it looks like on the surface. If you don't really see what's going on here, this might not make sense. Very evil people are running the planet and want to kill you, okay? And they're trying to do that, and they're aggressively pursuing this goal right now. And now the Earth is much like a tree in which the tree is ripening, and the fruit has come to its fruition. Fruit, you see what I did there? Anyway, the things that I was forced to witness, the Draco's eating human beings. And Draco's eating my own body. Okay, one of the things I discovered, which is very weird, is that some of the technology they got in UFO disclosure, they could literally chop your head off and then zip you right back together and bring you back to life like nothing even happened. So there are some sickos who had children get eaten alive and then resuscitate their body from the dead. And that's what apparently was done to me, among other things. That's it. I just want to kill people and drink blood and and rape and molest. That's my goal in life. And that's one of the main things I've had to deal with over the last few months.
Did you ever go to space?
Did I ever go to space?
Yes.
In my physical body?
Yes.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Because I am working on hovercar technology right now. I'm not joking. I'm not going to talk about it until we've got something for you, but we're getting pretty close. Once we get to that point, I can talk a lot more, but several of Pete Peterson's former associates I'm working with on this, and it's very, very real. We expect that once we get financed, hopefully, that we'll have an operational working prototype within 1 year, and that we could go into mass production within 4 years, where you will have a hovercar in your garage at an affordable price. And, the company that I'm working with is one of about 5 that I've been briefed on that are all working on this, and we're all in kind of like a little race with each other of who's going to do it first. As I've talked about in other videos, I'm not going to run through all of it again. There have been these declassified patents filed by a man apparently named Salvatore Pais, and they are for a device called the Hawk, H-A-U-C, Hybrid Air Underwater Craft. And it's basically a flying black triangle, and the patent describes exactly how to build it and says that it is anti-gravitic. And in the other videos I've done, we have compelling evidence that they've already built these. They know how they work. One of the designs that we have, I have schematics of it. The wings fold up like this so you can get it into the garage, because you do actually need some wings for like these ionic type of propulsion systems. You're shooting an ion cannon out the back. You have the anti-gravity, but you need thrust. So the wings kind of allow you to be what they call a flux liner. You're riding the gravitational flux instead of an airliner that uses air. And because it's hybrid air underwater craft, you can also fly underwater with these at a much, much greater rate of speed than would normally be possible with that kind of a system. So I'm very, very excited about the technology that we're going to have. And again, it's been handed to us. The military has handed it to us. And as I've said before, Salvatore Pais translates as savior of our nation. Salvatore, savior. Pais, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, I'm probably mangling it. Pais means nation or country. So why would the military save our country by releasing these patents? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. We've talked about Space Force. I've done a lot of other videos suggesting that this forbidden technology is going to be part of what we're going to get. You get into the work of Dr. Kenneth Shoulders and his amazing charge cluster technology, which is probably, it's one of the main contenders of what we're going to use to build hovercars, because you can create anti-gravity with these little things. It turns out that if you send electrical current, sorry I'm jumping around a little bit, but hang in with me. If you send electrical current down a needle and it comes off the point of the needle, you get this little ball of energy. And the ball of energy has all these very strange properties that shouldn't happen. It has way more electrostatic charge than it normally would. So it's got much, much greater energy in a much smaller package than it normally would, and it repels gravity. Plus, if you generate these charge clusters and you pass them through radioactive material, you deradiate the material. So when we start using charge cluster technology, we get free energy, because these things, if you generate a whole bunch of them, you get a lot of free energy out of it, more than it seems to take to generate, which is really true. That's just the nature of how charge clusters form. They attract more energy than it takes to make them. And then they emanate that energy. So they generate energy, they generate a gravitational pull that you can either push or pull with it. And they also are, again, deradiating radioactive material when you pass it through the material. So as I've talked about in other videos, I'm not going to run through all of it again. There have been these declassified patents filed by a man apparently named Salvatore Pais. And Salvatore Pais also patented a compact fusion reactor that's all these little needles that whirl around, which is how you make charge clusters, okay? and that is the power system you could drop in the thing. The other thing I talked about before is that the Hawk craft is like a peanut. So there's a nut inside and then a shell on the outside, and that hollow area between the interior hull and the exterior hull, there's all these little needles where they can generate the charge clusters. So you generate them and then you steer them, and by first generating them, you then point them where you want to go, and that's how you get anti-gravity. So because I am working on Hovercar technology right now, I'm not joking. I'm not going to talk about it until we've got something for you, but we're getting pretty close. Once we get to that point, I can talk a lot more, but several of Pete Peterson's former associates I'm working with on this, and it's very, very real. We expect that once we get financed, hopefully, that we'll have an operational working prototype within 1 year, and that we could go into mass production within 4 years, where you will have a Hovercar in your garage at an affordable price.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. It is a fun night tonight. Oh boy, do we have a great show for you. We are venturing deep into the wacky world of David Wilcock, former ancient astronaut star. The man who claimed to be Edgar Casey, reincarnated. The man who once claimed that he could channel the Egyptian god Ra. The man who has been promising that mass arrests will happen since at least 1998. The man who was the 17th letter of the alphabet. You know, that Buanon conspiracy that turned out to be all total garbage. Yes. And this man has been bilking the public for money for nonsensical garbage fairy tales for decades. And tonight we're going to break down some of that history for you. But more importantly, we're going to bring you up to speed on his latest grift. The grift goes on, friends. The grift goes on. And I have to say, a lot of people have been asking me, where's David Wilcock? Well, David Wilcock has a very predictable pattern. You see, in the few years leading up to the year 2000, he was promising everybody ascension was coming. And we're all going to get rainbow light bodies, and all of these tremendous earth changes were going to happen in the year 2000. And then what happened? Nothing. Whole lot of nothing. His predictions are, I would trust a crackhead to give me psychic predictions before I would trust David Wilcock. And that is because his history. He claimed at various times to be the world's greatest prophet. And he's talking to Egyptian gods. And he's channeling gods. He's also channeling Christ consciousness, or Jesus Christ. And lately, he's been hanging around his multi-million-dollar log cabin mansion while pretending to be in dire straits and telling everybody he is talking to the Archangel Michael, who is dictating to him a new project. And one might ask themselves, if you were really talking to the Archangel Michael, and Archangel Michael had something to share with humanity, would you put it behind a paywall? But that's exactly what David Wilcock is doing here. Interestingly, after the year 2000 failed terribly, and all of his predictions turned out to be garbage, David Wilcock went away for a while. It's a big part of the cosmicon shuffle. You know, we've talked about this cosmicon shuffle before. And that is where a less than credible person like David Wilcock will make all kinds of predictions of things that are coming. All kinds of promises. You have to overpromise and under-deliver. That's how the cosmicon shuffle works. So after the year 2000, goes away for a little while, comes back with new fake stories. That's how this works. And then when the next set of completely and totally fake stories, it becomes obvious that that next set was also all fake, just like the year 2000 prophecies. He goes away for a little while, and then he comes back with some new garbage, like leading up to the year 2012. He pulled out the year 2000 thing again and said, great changes are coming to Earth, and we're all going to get superpowers. We'll be able to telepathically communicate with each other. Ascension is coming. We'll all have superpowers, right? We'll be able to move things with our minds. All these things, changes are coming to humanity in the year 2012. But then what happened? Nothing. None of that happened. It is laughable that this guy doesn't just slink away in shame and crawl back under whatever the hell rock he came out of with these fantastical, ridiculous, absolutely fantastical claims that never get proven to be true. And there is something, my friends, and it is called the cosmicon shuffle. That's what David Wilcock does. So after the year 2000, when nobody got superpowers, and remember, leading up to all these things, he's selling things, books, courses, right? Get the insider knowledge, right? And so after the year 2012, he went away for a while. And then he comes back with who? Corey Goode, who David Wilcock said that he had vetted him and his information was accurate. And he was a true and real secret space program whistleblower. Well, that was in 2015, 2016, that grift started. And again, they did that for a couple of years. More and more fantastical claims, more and more fake stories, more and more garbage information. The whole time, taking money from the public for courses, books, conference appearances, lectures, the whole time extracting as much money from the public as they could while pretending, David Wilcock was pretending that he was in possession of some kind of secret insider knowledge from a secret space program whistleblower in the form of Corey Goode. But we have now seen through the deposition of Corey Goode that under oath, Corey Goode admits he's never even been to space physically. So it turns out David Wilcock, for years and years and years, was selling information from a 100% provably fake source in the form of Corey Goode. Now, after he and Corey Goode apparently were no longer on great terms, David Wilcock goes off to sell his garbage fake information, and Corey Goode goes off to sell his garbage fake information, both promising that they had some sort of secret insider knowledge. And if you just buy my books, buy my course, show up to the Dimensions of Dork Closure, the comic disclosure conference that Corey Goode and his friends ran, you too can spend big bucks to get that insider whistleblower knowledge, right? But then it turns out that Corey Goode, under oath, is forced to admit, let's see, he's never been to the moon, he's never been to space physically. The Anshar, you remember them, those inner Earth people that he and David Wilcock got paid tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to talk about. They turn out to be just essentially figments of Corey Goode's imagination. You know, he talks to them in his meditations or something. So, and this is not the first time that David Wilcock has been caught using a 100% provably fake source. Corey Goode is just the latest in a long line of 100% provably fake sources with 100% provably fake fairy tales and fake information and disinformation that David Wilcock, he is a disinformation peddler. He has completely fake information that may be disinformation that let's just say some alphabet soup agencies, pick one, right? The DIA, the CIA, the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Army Intelligence, Air Force Intelligence, Navy Intelligence, and various other alphabet soup agencies want this fake information distributed. Encourage these clowns to run around telling fake stories, to run around essentially committing consumer fraud, pretending that they were in some secret space program in the form of Corey Goode or David Wilcock, pretending that he has real whistleblower information. And this is such hot stuff. You got to get behind my paywall, buy my shit. That's how this works. And so it's interesting. So if they split for a while, they get back together to make some documentary films, which are now the subject of all kinds of lawsuits because nobody's quite sure where all the money went or who took it all. Corey Goode saying that his former business partners were embezzling from him. But during the deposition, Corey Goode admits that he's been taking money that doesn't belong to him from those two movies out of the account. Then he lets drop that he bought David Wilcock out of his percentages somehow. Great. David Wilcock goes on to do several grifts after those two movies, including a grift with Dannion Brinkley. That's another 100% provably fake source. You remember him, the guy that died, said he had a toe tag on, and he woke up in the morgue. Then you talk to the doctors at the hospital, and you find out none of that shit happened. But he sure sold the book on near-death experiences for years. And then what happened? Dannion Brinkley needed more money, right? Dannion Brinkley needed more money, so suddenly he died again and wrote another book, right? You gotta love it. I love it. Every time Dannion Brinkley needed money, he just died again. And he wrote another book on near-death experiences. And David Wilcock highly hyped a course with Dannion Brinkley, essentially saying that that was Dannion Brinkley's last contribution to humanity. And Dannion Brinkley was going to die for good this time. And I've lost track. I'm not sure how many times Dannion Brinkley has actually died and then wrote a book about it. It might be 3 or 4 times. So somebody is free to correct me. And then after the Dannion Brinkley course, which I believe was a total scam, and I can say that because guess what? Dannion Brinkley is still alive. How is he on his deathbed doing a course with David Wilcock and now he's still alive? Did he come back from the dead? Did he die and come back? How does this work? And how can you, without getting fraud charges, say all these things like this guy's on his deathbed or that this guy died and he woke up in the morgue with a toe tag when all that is provably false, right? But I think that the authorities are too busy with real world crime. Look at the streets of major cities right now to deal with some fallen former History Channel star in the form of David Wilcock running these petty grifts. They're grifts. So after the Dannion Brinkley thing, then we get up to the hovercars, right? And a year ago, he was selling a course promising everyone that he was going to teach everyone the secrets of free energy and the secrets of anti-gravity. And after you take his course, you'll be able to do it too. Still no hovercars. That was over a year ago. He promised that he'd have a hovercar prototype within a year. And he was selling a course where he was teaching everybody the secrets of anti-gravity. And he claimed that his hovercar would have a free energy device and you wouldn't even have to put fuel in it. And it could power your whole house. And apparently, David Wilcock gave over $1 million of his own money to Stavati Aerospace, which, in my opinion, is a joke. It is an investment black hole because Stavati Aerospace has been making all kinds of promises for the past 20 years, including that they were developing laser weapon systems for the United States Army that they then had to take off their website. And because that never happened, they basically make really nice high-tech pictures of airplanes, right? And then they pretend that they're going to build those airplanes. And apparently they take investor money from people and all kinds of stuff. You too, they're the future of aerospace. but in the past 20 years, they haven't been able to produce a single working prototype that I'm aware of. They also happen to have a man named Bill McEwen on Stevati Aerospace. Look him up, but look up Amiga Incorporated, Bill McEwen, and you will find out that that guy's pretty shady too. And he is the second in charge of Stevati Aerospace. And boy, there's a whole lot of drama around Bill McEwen and Amiga Incorporated, the new Amiga OS that was supposed to, you know, bring back the Amiga from its glory days. And he sued a whole bunch of people too. Great. But the anti-gravity thing is a big problem because over a year ago, he promised everybody that they were going to have a working prototype. Still no prototype. Still no prototype. And yeah, and it's very, very problematic. But we're going to get into that. First, though, I thought that it would be great to take a short break while I educate the public about the cosmicon shuffle and also the people that push and help the cosmicons sell their fake garbage information. So I want to thank Simon Fly. Some great music videos lately coming out. And yeah, the cosmicon shuffle, you know, the UFO circle jerk, where you pretend that you're in possession of some kind of top secret or secret information and then you charge people money, but you don't have shit. Yeah, that's the cosmicon. And the cosmicon shuffle is when you get caught selling your bull and none of that shit turns out to be real or true, right? You got to shuffle off. You got to do the cosmicon shuffle and go away for a little while. And that, my friends, is what David Wilcock has been up to. He's been out in his yard talking to squirrels and shit. He's been taking baths in his own piss. He's been claiming that he's talking to the Archangel Michael, who's dictating a book of prophecies to him. And by the way, I got that book. Worst book I've ever read. Not just the worst David Wilcock book I've ever read. It is the worst book I've ever had to read in my whole life. All 555 pages. By the way, I read 555 pages of David Wilcock's new book full of bullshit, so you don't have to. Tonight, I'm going to break it all down for you. But before we do, let's hear a little more about how the Cosmicon Shuffle and the UFO Circle Jerkers and how they get away with selling this garbage fake information. Why has no one in the UFO community showed you the truth? Garbage peddler. Why has no one in the UFO community showed you the truth? Garbage peddler. Why has no one in the UFO community showed you the truth? Garbage peddler. Why has no one in the UFO community showed you the truth? Garbage peddler club, and I ain't it. Cosmicon Shuffle. Cosmicon Shuffle. Garbage peddler club, and I ain't it. Cosmicon Shuffle. Cosmicon Shuffle. Garbage peddler club, and I ain't it. Cosmicon Shuffle. Cosmicon Shuffle. Garbage peddler club, and I ain't it. Cosmicon Shuffle. Cosmicon Shuffle. Where's the goddamn ball shavings analysis? Alien technology. Alien technology. Where's the goddamn ball shavings analysis? He is lying. He is lying. He is lying. He is lying. Where's the goddamn ball shavings analysis? Alien technology. Alien technology. Where's the goddamn ball shavings analysis? He is lying. He is lying. He is lying. He is lying. Bullshit. 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 Bullshit, 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 bullshit. He is lying, he is lying, he is lying, he is lying. He is lying, he is lying, he is lying, he is lying. He is lying, he is lying, he is lying, he is lying. He is lying, he is lying, he is lying, he is lying. is no one in the UFO community to show you the truth.
Garbage Paddler Club, and I ain't it.
Cosmicon Shuffle. Cosmicon Shuffle.
Garbage Paddler Club, and I ain't it.
Cosmicon Shuffle. Cosmicon Shuffle.
Garbage Paddler Club, and I ain't it.
Cosmicon Shuffle. Cosmicon Shuffle.
Garbage Paddler Club, and I ain't it.
Cosmicon Shuffle. Cosmicon Shuffle.
And I ain't it, 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 and
Yes, my friends, it's a big club, and I ain't in it. And that is why I can tell you the truth. We've talked about this before. There's this unspoken rule among all of these cosmic con artists that they don't talk about, tell everybody the truth about what garbage information somebody else is selling, and then they won't about what garbage information they are selling. It's a big club, and I ain't in it. Jimmy Church is in it. Corey Goode is in it. Oh, Emery Smith is in it. Linda Moulton Howe is in it. Richard Dolan is in it. Ross Coulthard is in it. Gary Nolan is in this club, but I ain't in it. And by the way, I've been asked several times about where is the ball shavings analysis that Ross Coulthard and Gary Nolan promised everybody. They had conclusive proof of alien technology. That was another 100% provably fake story that used all kinds of deception to create the illusion that they had something important or groundbreaking or earth-changing information. They had nothing. They had garbage, fake information. Not only did they not have conclusive proof of alien technology, but at the time they promised that they did, the clown, Gary Nolan, who participated in the Atacama, that's a whole nother one, but with Stephen Greer, he's in the club. Stephen Greer's in the club. Third Phase of Moon is in the club. Goofon's in the club, right? Ross Coulthard is definitely in the club, and so is Gary Nolan. And everybody wants to know what happened. You promised all kinds of stuff. Remember, this is how the Cosmic Con works. You got to overpromise, hype it up to the maximum hype level, and then you can't deliver. So inevitably comes the big letdown. And then when people like me, who have the courage and the integrity and the good ethics to try at least and hold these people accountable, to ask them hard questions, unlike the circle jerkers, they're in the club. Chrissy Newton, Ryan Sprague, Calling All Beings, Project Unity, right? And 100 other podcasts. You sit there and you help them sell their fake garbage information. You give them the UFO circle jerk. That's what you got to do. You jerk them off and help them sell their fake false stories. And then you get a little piece of it. So there's all these bottom feeders around these cosmic cons, right? And then when somebody who actually does their job as a journalist or an investigative reporter, a content creator covering these topics, whatever you want to call it, when I actually do the right thing, right, what happens? These people get very pissed off when you pull them out of their land of delusion and pull back the layers of deception and show everybody what fakery, fraudery, and bullshittery these people are up to. They get pissed off. So Gary Nolan was too much of a coward to come here and talk about these important questions and why they overhyped and underdelivered and where the hell are the ball shavings analysis. But he could go on a UFO circle jerker show, right? A public relations person who would help him try to navigate the terrible public relations that he was under while he was promising conclusive proof of alien technology with his buddy Ross Coulthard, disgraced Australian 60 Minutes reporter who once claimed that a whole bunch of people in the English government were pedos with bad sources and no sources, really. That is why. And Ross Coulthard's making the rounds again, and people are retweeting things he's saying. He's promising, oh no, these people are coming out It's all coming out. The truth's all coming. Disclosure's coming any day now. Sure it is. And Dr. Gary Nolan, everybody wants to know from that clown in a lab coat. He's an immunologist. What is he doing metals analysis anyway? And why is he allowed to use Stanford University equipment, resources, personnel, even make students work for him on alien fake stories? Why is he allowed to do that? Well, he's getting a little pissed off because we're asking hard questions here. Here's what the clown in a lab coat had to say, by the way, thanks at Cosmic Diarrhea.
They come to me with some of their results, and I basically said, these results are shit. So I'm sorry to the people who are so frigging impatient that they won't get off their butt and go learn this stuff and do it themselves. I'm not your daddy. I'm not here to do things for you. I'm sorry. Get out of your basement and go do something. I've seen some of those snap your fingers reports, and they're garbage. Publish the darn paper. Stop claiming that. This is shoddy work. This can't go anywhere. Who did this? It's crap.
Well, there we have it from the clown Dr. Gary Nolan. He's pissed off because people want what he promised people already. Conclusive proof of alien technology. No, that was a garbage source that Jonathan Davies gave to, Ross Coulthart, who then overhyped and underdelivered. So, the cosmicon works the same way for a lot of people. If you start analyzing these people and their tactics, it's all very similar. We have to overpromise and underdeliver. We have to hype everything up to the maximum wazoo to make people buy into it. And then we get the big letdown because they can never deliver on their promises. They can, like David Wilcock, show me one prophecy that he has given that has come true. And we've talked about this before. I'll keep hammering this point. David Wilcock once claimed to be Earth's greatest prophet, but there's a huge problem with that. If you fail once, if one of your prophecies doesn't come true, you fail the test of a prophet. And that, to anybody who's actually religious or spiritual, is the true test of a prophet. Inaccurate, fake information does not come from divine or angelic sources. But now David Wilcock is going to claim that he's talking to the Archangel Gabriel, who, by the way, told him to take baths in his own piss so that he could get superpowers. I'm going to say that again. David Wilcock claims that the Archangel Michael told him to take baths in his own piss so that he could get telekinetic superpowers. And David Wilcock has claimed that this worked. Taking baths in his own piss, he's got telekinetic superpowers. I'm not making this up. Hey, I just tell you what he said. I didn't make this is his shit that he's saying. It's ridiculous. And another point on the wacky world of Wilcock worthy of mentioning is that David Wilcock continually claims that he is in contact with angelic divine sources while making absolutely fantastical, ridiculous amount of prophecies, none of which ever come true, which means he fails the test of the prophet, not just once, not just 10 times. I can cite chapter and verse from his material, over 100 of his predictions that all failed. Over 100. How much more convincing do you need that this man is no psychic, this man is no prophet, all of his sources are fake, all of his sources are ridiculous, and no credible person would take the word of some of these people that he has cited as incredible sources. There was Bill Brockrader. He used him for a while, the super soldier fighting aliens on Mars, and whoa, boy, great stories. Wilcock was milking him for fake stories for a while. But it turns out that Bill Brockrader is a court-martialed child molester. David Wilcock conveniently left that part out while he was selling Bill Brockrader's fake stories as true stories, right? Maybe the credibility of the witness is important. And I, for one, I don't want to hear any fantastical stories with zero evidence or proof from a guy who was court-martialed for having problems with children. And by the way, that guy, Bill Brockrader, is now on the run. He's a fugitive from justice. And John Walsh, remember him? You know, he did a whole show on that guy. And what do we get from David Wilcock, who milked that guy for sources, milked that guy as a source, who sold his fake stories for literally a long time? I'd have to check. That was a while back, right? Him and Kerry Cassidy were selling that garbage peddler's fake stories. David Wilcock doesn't want to comment on John Walsh looking for that guy who's a fugitive from justice for being a child molester. David Wilcock doesn't want to comment on that, right? Now we get to more fake sources. Emery Smith, Corey Goode. Pete Peterson. He mentions Pete Peterson all the time. And there was a whole scam with a PayPal donation thing pumped up by David Wilcock and Pete Peterson and others in the UFO community. Oh, he's getting attacked by the deep state and we need to give him money. They raised over $60,000 for a 100% provably fake story. The guy claimed there was bulldozers outside and they were throwing all this stuff outside. We talked to the police. We talked to the bank. It was a foreclosure for a home that this Pete Peterson had absolutely no right to. They were being polite and saying, "Get your shit out of here before we sell the home." There was no deep state. There was no police. David Wilcock even went as far to say that they stole or threw in the trash this Pete Peterson's family's urns and ashes from his relatives. None of that, to the best of my information, and we investigated that case thoroughly, ever happened, right? And where did the $60,000 go? Because that was a 100% provable scam. None of the things that they said in the text body of the GoFundMe. Oh, I'm sorry, that was a GoFundMe scam. I get a little confused because there's so many scams going on around here around these people. It was the Emery Smith was the PayPal scam. This one with the Pete Peterson. And by the way, Pete Peterson, my number one source, that's what David Wilcock says. He was a fake, 100% fake person. He made all kinds of claims about being an early computer pioneer. I have a background in computer science. We reached out to all kinds of computer, museums, asking if anybody had ever even heard of him. Nope. And by the way, Pete Peterson's company name, Cyberdyne Systems. Yeah, the company from Terminator, right? Great. He claimed that he was Ronald Reagan's science and technology advisor. That was false. He claimed he got the Order of Lenin Award from Russia. That was false. He claimed he worked for the Russian equivalent of NASA, the Russian Space Agency. That was false. We checked everything. So we've got Bill Brockrader, who is essentially a court-martialed child molester, fugitive criminal, right? And then we get Pete Peterson, a 100% fake person who was involved in some stock pump and dump scams and all kinds of other scammy, shady shit, who made all kinds of fantastical claims about his background. We went through his whole biography, line by line, and everything in the man's biography turned out to be a lie. But that didn't stop David Wilcock from making books, conference appearances, retelling that 100% provably fake sources, fake stories. And who did he go to after Pete Peterson? He went to Corey Goode and Emery Smith, who we now know aren't who they claim to be. Neither of them, right? And it's interesting that so many people made money right alongside Corey Goode, most notably Jimmy Church, who doesn't want to talk about this. Jimmy Church doesn't want to talk about the fact that he made. How much money did you make, Jimmy Church, selling Corey Goode's fake garbage stories? How much money did you make, David Wilcock, selling Corey Goode's fake garbage stories? The man has now admitted under oath that these were works of fiction, right? He even at one point said, or dramatizations based on my real world experiences. You got to kind of slippery. It's kind of slippery. You got to try to slime your way through saying it's fake without really saying it's fake. But in several places in that deposition, he said his stories were fake. He said he made up secret space stories, right? And David Wilcock profited from that 100% now known to be a 100% fake secret space program whistleblower. And Jimmy Church made all kinds of money working with him at conferences, introducing him, telling everybody, platforming him 5 times, right? Yeah. And we're going to get into that, by the way. I'm going to share an early clip from Jimmy Church's show where he can't lick his butthole enough. Great job licking buttholes, Jimmy Church, when you should have been vetting the source. Because after all, Jimmy Church says he vets sources 3 times, right? Yeah, he does. He vets everything 3 times before he talks about it on his show, right?
I vet everything 3 times before I mention it on the air. If I can't vet something 3 times from a credible published source, I don't speak about it.
Yeah, he doesn't speak about it. Well, you sure spoke about Corey Goode a lot. You had him on your show 5 times. How many UFO conferences did you work with him? Pumping him up, co-signing. Jimmy Church and David Wilcock co-signed Corey Goode's 100%. Now we know they were 100% fake stories. Secret space stories that he made up. You know, stories like spaceships landing in his backyard and taking him to a secret moon base. But then, under oath, he was forced to admit he's never been to space physically. And he's never been to the moon, apparently, or lived on the moon, or Mars, or any place off-world. But it didn't stop people like David Wilcock and Jimmy Church from co-signing this man's fairy tales. And by the way, there is no excuse for this. None. There is no excuse for accepting this man as a credible source. He had absolutely, positively zero evidence. This man told fantastical fairy tales for 5+ years with zero evidence. The only thing he ever did was release some documents that were once classified. I believe he got those from Ron Wood. Great, he got lucky once. They took that as meaning he's telling the truth about his space battles and his time travel adventures, right? And these guys all made money, right? Everybody made money. And again, I didn't make any money. It's a big club, but I ain't in it. And at the time all of this is going on, I'm proud to say that from the very beginning, I said, this guy's fake. He has no evidence. Why would anybody even listen to him? Well, because they wanted to praise the cash, okay? Jimmy Church needed to praise the cash. David Wilcock needed a new fake source to milk for fake stories, and they all did. They were all chips in on this 100% fake secret space astronaut. And they all made money co-signing his fake stories. And they all made money pretending that that man was a credible source and that he really fought reptilian aliens in space. And he was Earth's galactic ambassador. And he saved Earth, right? Corey Goode essentially told Buck Rogers science fiction fantasy stories to these clowns. And they all bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. But not just those two. We got Michael Salas selling his garbage. We've got so many, too many to mention. We're selling this man's garbage. He even appeared at a MUFON conference with no evidence. It's supposed to be a scientific organization. Corey Goode is just the latest, however. I've been saying for years that David Wilcock uses 100% provably fake sources to sell 100% provably fake stories, right? Look at that history. Okay, he's using a child molester, right? That was thrown out of the army, I believe, or some form of government. I can't remember if it was the army or some other. I think it was the army, Bill Brockrader. Thrown out. Why? Because he had a big problem with children. And by the way, it wasn't just a random child. It was incest. It was his sister-in-law. And what does David Wilcock do? No vetting, no checking on that man's history, or he would have known about all of this before he used him as a source. No, just run to the internet and sell those fake UFO or secret space stories so that you, David Wilcock, can make tons of money on provably fake stories from ridiculously less than credible sources. I get it. Sometimes you might have to use a source that's a little problematic. But really? You're going to use a guy like that who was court-martialed over some crime like that involving children? You're going to trust his fake stories? By the way, Bill Brockrader is another guy. Absolutely no evidence. Just fantastical fairy tales, right? about fighting aliens on Mars and all this other nonsense. Then we get Pete Peterson, 100% provably fake source that he milked. Then we get Corey Goode, who we all now know just made all that shit up. According to his own deposition, it would appear that he made it all up. He just made up stories, and that's his intellectual property, right? Great. So we're going to give you a little bit of an update into what David Wilcock was talking about, and then we're going to get on to the new grift. The new grift is the Archangel Michael, right? Giving him a book to sell to people. Great. And if David Wilcock follows his usual pattern, I predict he will be making a bunch of new live stream videos, pushing people to buy a new course. This one's from the Archangel Michael this time, not from Corey Goode, Secret Space Astronaut, or Daniel Brinkley, the guy who died 4 times and wrote a bunch of books about his near-death experiences that he can't prove actually even happened, and that his own doctors dispute the sequence of events that he tells in his first book, right? Or, Pete Peterson, completely fake sources. It's great. This is a great business. You just find less than credible people willing to sit on camera and lie, like like Bill Brockrader, or like Pete Peterson, or like Corey Goode. And you can make tons and tons of money at this. Then we get on to, like I said, the Hovercar thing. And apparently David Wilcock gave over $1 million of his own money to this shady Stavati Aerospace. And with them, they're going to develop Hovercar technology. Sure they are. They're a little bit behind. We were supposed to see a working prototype with a free energy engine by now, and we haven't seen anything. Nothing. And what is David Wilcock doing now? Well, he went away for a while. He's hoping everybody forgot. That's another part. That's how you keep the long con going. You got to go away for a little while, do the cosmicon shuffle, and hope everybody forgets that your bull stories all turned out to be bull, right? And then you come back with new bull stories. You come back with new fake sources with fake stories. That's what he's doing here. He's pivoting away from the Hovercar thing. He's already made his money there. And by the way, under oath in a deposition, Corey Goode said that David Wilcock made $4 million from one course. I think that's a criminal act when he's selling 100% provably fake information from, let's just say, less than credible sources. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a law enforcement officer, but I'm allowed to have an opinion. If you made $4 million selling people a bunch of fake garbage, disinformation, stuff cobbled together from the internet, nothing new, just, I copied these patents from the patent office and Salvador Payas says this thing does anti-gravity, so I can make money telling people about that. There's no proof that technology works. How is he teaching free energy and anti-gravity technology, and even going so far as to saying, if you take my course, you'll be able to do it too, when he cannot himself demonstrate that he knows how to create either free energy or anti-gravity technology? And by the way, both free energy and anti-gravity technology has a long history, sordid history of scams. Buy these plans and build your own free energy device. None of them work. I was into electronics and computers. I bought a lot of those plans on eBay, built them all. None of them worked. Nothing. There's the third law of thermodynamics for a reason. You can't get more energy out than you put in. It's just a law of nature. And the same goes for anti-gravity. People will sell you courses on anti-gravity like David Wilcock and not prove that any of it works. People will sell you plans to create some kind of anti-gravity generator. None of it works. So how can David Wilcock say that he's teaching the secrets of anti-gravity and free energy when he himself cannot demonstrate that he knows how to do that? Shouldn't he have to show a prototype of a free energy device that works, that can be measured to be working device? Shouldn't he have to show an anti-gravity device? Even if, I don't care, he could have a little frisbee. Make a frisbee do anti-gravity on a tabletop. before you take money teaching other people how to do it, you should be able to prove that you could do it too. And we saw this with Sarah R. Adams, who's running around teaching people how to open Stargates. I challenged her, show us a goddamn Stargate. She won't, right? It's great. Next week, I'm going to teach everybody how to travel to Mars. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a course, and I might not make $4 million, but I'm hoping for $1 million, right? I'll come up with some cockamamie astral travel. You know, I don't know how any of this is legal. I just don't understand it. I don't get how these people are allowed to just freely scam the public for 100% false information. They make all kinds of fantastical claims when they're selling this garbage, but nothing ever comes of it. David Wilcock over a year ago promised everybody we'd be seeing a working hovercar prototype. And that prototype, by the way, would have a free energy engine. So you don't even have to put fuel in it or plug it in. And it could power your house. And it could do massive speeds. You'll be able to fly from London to Paris in an hour or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. He made all kinds of fantastical claims while he was selling this course. Where's the proof, David Wilcock? But before we get into the new grift, which is the Archangel Michael telling him to piss in bathtubs and he got superpowers. Oh, it's a great one. It's one of his best new grift, right? Best grift in a long time. He's talking to angels, right? And St. Lucia, and they're giving him prophecies. But you have to ask yourself, and I caution everybody, before you give this guy any money for anything new, ask him where all the old stuff was. Where's the superpowers he promised us all in the year 2000? Where's the ascension and the earth changes and us being able to telepathically communicate and move things with our mind and all kinds of stuff that he promised us in 2012? Where is the goddamn mass arrests that he's been promising since 1998, right? Where is the truth of the secret space program that he sold everybody already? He's already sold people the truth of the secret space program for years and years and years. Turns out that was all fake fairy tales invented by his partner in slime, Corey Goode, right? Then he gets to the hovercar thing, right? And how about all those courses in Ascension? $333. He was going to teach you how to ascend. Has anybody ascended yet? He did 3 courses for $333, all on Ascension and the coming Ascension. Shouldn't he have to deliver on what he's already been paid for before anybody gives him a dime for something new? But that's how this works. He hopes you forget all that shit and just buy his new fake stuff. I caution everybody strongly, do not give this man any of your money until he delivers on all the old promises on things he's already been paid for. Now, we're going to get a hovercar. We're going to remind you some of the things that he said about the hovercars and that grift that he sold a $333 course for. And then we'll get into his latest batch of prophetic predictions and promises. And I guarantee you, David Wilcock needs money, friends. I have it from multiple sources. David Wilcock is broke. He's broke and he needs money. So he's going to start grifting real hard in the next couple of weeks now that he's finished his masterpiece, the worst book I've ever written. It's called The Michael Prophecies. And by the way, he claims that the book was written by the Archangel Michael and St. Lucia and with him. They wrote it with him. How can you promise the public that you're selling them a genuine book written by the Archangel Michael? You can't. It's a grift. But let's remind you about some of the ridiculous statements that he made over a year ago, promising everybody that his company was going to have working hovercar prototypes real soon in the next year. It's been more than a year. I think it's been a year and 2 months. No prototype. We don't get to see shit. You know why? Because this was all fake. This was all a grift. He has nothing but an empty airplane hangar and some shady, scammy company making all kinds of promises just like him that they never deliver on. Let's see what he had to say about all these hovercar promises. Remember, this was the last big grift before we get to the new big grift, which is the Archangel Michael grift. But I want to remind everybody of the last grift before they plop any of their hard-earned money down on the new grift. Let's get into it, friends.
You think I want to be up here on this fucking camera talking about this shit? I'm sorry. I didn't know it was going to get like this. I didn't know it was going to get this bad. And I'm the positive guy. I mean, I always try to make it positive. But this is just crazy. The quadra gays, yes, yeah. But nothing gay is going to happen. It's only a title. Anyway, wow, I got to stop. You have to use the orgasmic energy, apparently. There's something about the orgasmic energy. You know, rub-a-dub-dub, 4 minutes. I'm not even going to go there, okay? There is a monster under the bed. You can look at it if you want to, but it's really going to gross you out, and you're probably going to want to puke. Honest to God. Thank you for being here. It's been total chaos ever since. Go back to the slide now. Okay, well, what would an airplane think? I don't know. What kind of airplane do you think we should ask? I might have an airplane that looks a little familiar to you. If this airplane could only talk after all the time that's gone by, if this airplane could talk, what would it say? What would this particular airplane have to say if there was a previous tenant that was in this airplane before? And maybe the other guy was in this airplane sometimes before. Let's just ask, you know, let's just...
You're crap. You're failure.
So, okay. Yeah, I get it.
Shut up. I'm in charge.
I gotta know. Did strange things happen in there?
I'll eat your ass.
Really?
I will eat your ass.
Really?
I will eat your ass like corn on the cob.
No way. Right in there. In there. The crazy stuff. If airplanes could talk. I will crawl naked over broken glass. It would have been fine if it wasn't for you meddling kids. She actually said that. I was there. Scooby thinks that it's a monster, you know, oh, give me Scooby snacks. They're psychopaths. Do you get it yet? You cannot be gay. You don't get to complain. You don't even get to have a voice if you complain. We're going to take that away from you. Wow, you can get both of them going. Look at that. You can do it both at the same time in different ways. Isn't that amazing? How does he do that? How is it even possible? And why is he so awesome? And now I'm jealous, desperate, and needy all the time. Well, yeah. Well, we're not going to talk about all that stuff. My wife wants to go for the jugular. I'm not ready for that yet. I know what you're talking about. And by the way, you can be going on all different camera angles as I do this. Just keep taking it from different shots. And let it go. But wait a minute. Oh, there's so many things I could say, folks. And I said I'm not going to do any fundraising, so I won't. I got to not do it. I'm David Wilcock. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, and it gets worse, and we're going to get into it. It gets much worse. Let's hear some more of the Hovercar promises. I'm sorry, I was a little weird on the bumpers there. This one is a little more detail into the Hovercar nonsense, right?
I don't know if I can say this, but with the border, most of those people are not going to become American citizens. That's what they call a meat wagon. And I heard about meat wagons all the way back in 2010, that they let people through the border, they put them on a bus, they drive them into an underground base, and whatever happens from there. These human-looking extraterrestrials are soaking in a liquid bath that's made from human bodies. This is apparently what Greys have to do to survive. That's why their DNA is breaking down, is that their genetics, they cloned themselves off of a small subject pool. But the part that we don't know is that the way that they try to stay alive is by using human growth factors and stem cells. And we, as in our secret government, have made the Greys an alternative option that can keep them alive, but they don't like the taste. Okay, I'm going to tell you something really dark, and I'm sorry, but what's happening is that those UFOs are pulling up to corrupted U.S. military elements, and then they pick up their payment from the ship, if you follow what I'm saying by payment. They're picking up their payments. Our military is doing this. We took a crappy deal, we took a horrible deal, and we now have enough technology that we can actually get rid of these people and stop the payments. But in order to do that, we're going to need a civilian space force. We're going to need a civilian-led, or at least a civilians with military, so that we can go against corrupted aspects of our own infrastructure that are actually cooperating with these beings and using this for their own sustenance, I guess. And wouldn't you know, I got a tractor driving right behind me. There is a war going on with the Draco right now, and Pete would talk to me about this, and he said that we were winning. There's about, from what Pete said, there's about 3,500 of these ships out there that Ben built, at least, that we're using. And he said there's Americans all over the galaxy. He said that we have colonized 65 locations off planet Earth throughout the galaxy, and that each one of these locations typically will have at least 3,500 soldiers there. And the big thing is to fight these reptilians. In fact, I just got a whole bunch of new information on the Draco today, believe it or not. They are distributed all throughout the constellation Draco. And apparently the reason the constellation Draco was named that way is because there's a lot of them out there. One of the main contingents of Greys that are here, that are working with our secret government, they require human protein to survive, or so they think. They like the taste. They soak in it like a bath. I don't know how they prepare it. I don't know. They don't need, so the Greys apparently don't need Satanism to be involved in the preparation of the food. But the reptilians do. The reptilians, they prefer to eat meat, whereas the Greys actually do kind of like a blended human shake.
A human smoothie, yeah, got it.
So it's very, I'm sorry to talk about this, but I feel like I got to get this out somehow. You know, if something happened to me, I wanted to make sure everybody knows this. So I don't think anything will, but you know. Hey, it's your buddy. Real debut of our anti-gravity and free energy company. This is not a hoax. We're actually moving forward to do these technologies, get them out to the public. And so I'm here today just to remind you, add these questions. Look over here now. You know, I don't expect you to have 4 camera angles like this. So I want to share with you a video that I shot in our secret hangar. It won't be secret for a whole lot longer, but you know, we're just trying to not let it be too obvious so that our enemies don't get a head start. And I am here in our undisclosed location, which is codenamed Snapper. And this is the future, folks. This is where we're going to be prototyping your hovercar that we would like to have ready for commercial development at an affordable price in the not too distant future, hopefully within 4 years, and a working prototype within 1 year. As you can see, I was not lying to you. Hello! We will be hoping to sell you hovercars very soon. I can't actually live in the building. I asked, and our zoning regulations don't allow that. I believe that what you're seeing here is a totally feasible machine, a totally feasible device. So this is the Holy Grail. As part of the aerospace community, we don't only want to pitch foreign countries, we also want to pitch the United States on our products. To be perfectly honest with you, we haven't had the kind of interest and participation from United States investors that we had wanted. I performed. And then now we have some new investors. You have to use the orgasmic energy, apparently. There's something about the orgasmic energy. You know, rub-a-dub-dub, 4 minutes. I'm not even going to go there, okay? But I'm your deadbeat dad. I've never met 45. It didn't quite happen. But I had a dream years ago where it said I was one of the founding fathers of anti-gravity, or that I would be seen as one of the founding fathers. In aerospace, in order to do engineering, it can cost like $2 billion a prototype. Engineering is incredibly expensive, and the main reason is because a lot of people don't know what they're doing. It turns out that people don't really know how to make airplanes very well. It is very expensive to make new jets, but from all the people who I've spoken to on the inside, it's a commonly held belief that Ben is the premier aircraft or spacecraft designer on Earth today. I want to show you, first of all, a 3D printed version of a craft that we designed will actually travel through space if we so desire. I was very proud of myself. This was the first time I've been able to get the 3D printer to make one of these. Now, wait a minute, David. That looks kind of evil. That looks like the devil's pitchfork. What the hell are you all doing here? This is a plane that is literally capable of traveling at Mach 4. This will be the fastest airplane as possible. So this is what you would use if there's a sudden spontaneous invasion and you barely have enough time to get your guys into the jets. I'm a retard, okay, so you all can laugh. I put the wings on upside down. This is before Ben, I said, could we please make some, like special part on the wings? It's like a square notch that we can put it in. He did. So the engines are upside down, but I just thought, I don't know, maybe they work that way. When I thought about it more, it didn't make any sense. But anyway, it turns out that people don't really know how to make airplanes very well. Now, I had no idea that when I printed these out that any pattern would emerge. This is actually what happened. If you look at the image of the first three, so there's a plate. So obviously I'm not, the Jesus statue is already there in our house. I'm talking now about the plastic below Jesus, because there on the back side of this model of what looks to me an awful lot like the crucifix, right? This is really incredible. I mean, I don't know what the hell to make out of this. This does not appear to be an accident. This is no bluff to try to raise money for no reason. My wife and I actually were down to our last $3,000 before we started this course. So it was a pretty dire situation. The way that it got timed was it just happened to work out. I might not actually be your deadbeat dad. That was more of a figure of speech. In this video that will become part of history if we do end up doing the Wright brothers of anti-gravity. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday.
So the Wright brothers of anti-gravity. And by the way, we've covered this in the past. Apparently, David Wilcock giving a shit ton of money to this Stevati Aerospace company, who he claimed would be creating the hovercars with him, may be a contributing factor in his divorce. But this is rumors, this is speculation. I would certainly appreciate an interview with his ex-wife, because she probably knows much more about this entire situation and about David Wilcock's business tactics and about his shady charity that they were running together. You remember that, where they were collecting, donations for several years. And so far, I haven't been able to determine any charitable work that they did, but we can sure see what he spent the money on. Lots of software, lots of equipment, right? $4,000 1 year for meals and entertainment for him and his wife. Great. Now, before we're gonna get into the latest, which is his book, the Michael Prophecies, which is, by the way, I stand by this statement. It is the worst book, or let's be fair. It's the worst book from conspiracy land, or a spiritual book, or a religious book that I've ever read in my entire life. It is absolutely the worst. And that's saying a lot, because his books are pretty bad. His books are cobbled together, copy and paste jobs, usually from many, many sources, which, by the way, he cites, but we've shown in the past, you can take a David Wilcock book or a free book that he gives out and copy and paste a couple of pages into a plagiarism checker, and you'll find that 50 to 60% of it is copied and pasted from other people's books. I don't know how he can charge people money when he's got half of the book that he's selling people comes from other people's books. I get you can cite sources, but you're not supposed to cite that much when you're selling a for-profit book. At least, I guess that's a judgment call. It's really about your morality or your ethics. Would I do that? No, because essentially you're just taking a bunch of other people's work and pasting it into your book and then reselling it and adding, another half of your own nonsense. I guess he connects the dots and things like that. But it's important to realize that along with all of these absolutely fantastical, ridiculous claims from one David Wilcock, of course, these stories crash and burn over time. We saw before the year 2000, he was pushing all kinds of stuff, selling stuff, and prophecies that never happened. That crashed and burned. Bill Brockrader, all the stories he was selling with Kerry Cassidy of that guy crashed and burned. Pete Peterson, the retired government whistleblower that worked for Ronald Reagan, no, he didn't. The early computing pioneer that wasn't. The man who worked for the Russian space station that didn't, or space agency that never did. The man who got the Order of Lenin award that never did. You hear him in there? Pete told me, my insider Pete told me, and by the way, that guy's dead. He could say that guy said anything now. But even still, I don't care what a fake source said that's dead, right? He's using a dead man to sell fake stories now. That will show you his level of journalistic integrity. There's no integrity here. It's a grift, right? But besides, so then the Pete Peterson thing crashes and burns. That guy dies, right? And he still uses milking a dead man for a source. That's how you know that this is bullshit. He is milking a dead man and claiming a dead man told him this. A dead man told him that. Nobody can verify with the dead man whether he ever said any of that. And by the way, that dead man's entire biography that David Wilcock claimed was a work of fiction. All of his claimed accomplishments never happened. It was all fake. And he's milking that guy while he's dead for more fake stories, right? And then we get to the latest crash and burn story. For years, David Wilcock pushed this Corey Goode narrative. The secret space program insider, right? The secret space astronaut who time traveled and was Earth's galactic ambassador and was so important. And he had superpowers too. Now David Wilcock is claiming he's getting his superpowers. You got to have superpowers, right? Everybody's got some superpowers. And how did David Wilcock get his superpowers? He got them because the Archangel Michael told him to take baths in his own piss. Because this makes sense. So Corey Goode's story is completely, totally dead in the water, crashing and burning, under oath admitting these are works of fiction, dramatizations. I've never been to space. Kind of hard to be a secret space program insider when you've never been to space. Did he time travel? Did he really do the 20 and back? Or was that 20 and back while he was smoking crack? That's what I think. And I'm entitled to my opinion, because for somebody to like just have no job and to just make up fake fantastical stories about going to space and time traveling, interfacing with all these aliens, fighting those evil aliens and saving Earth, being so important that aliens from other star systems come all the way to the Earth system and choose him as an ambassador, right? And these are all completely and totally fake works of fiction that David Wilcock pushed as true stories, along with all those other ones we mentioned. And now he's going to push this new fake narrative that he's in contact with the Archangel Michael, who's helping him get superpowers by bathing in his own piss. And St. Lucia is writing a book with David Wilcock, because I'm sure the Archangel Michael and St. Lucia are sitting around in heaven going, David Wilcock's last bunch of fake stories all crashed and burned. Maybe we should go down to Earth and help him write a book that he can then sell and make several $1 million, right? Because that makes sense, right? I really think that the Archangel Michael wants to help a career-long grifter who has sold fake stories for decades sell real prophecies from the Archangel Michael. What are the chances that he has real contact with the Archangel Michael? By the way, I've got a new challenge for David Wilcock. I have searched high and I have searched low. And apparently in some esoteric scripture, there is a proof of contact with aliens. And I'm not going to go into detail today, but if he'd like to see if he can pass the test to prove that he's in contact with angelic entities, I'll give it to him. And if I'm wrong, I'll suck his dick. All right? That's how goddamn sure I am that he's not in contact with anything. All right? If he can pass the test to prove that he's in contact with angelic entities, I'll make good. I'll make good on it. All right? That's how sure I am that this man is just on to another grift, on to another fake narrative full of fake stories, fake prophecies, fake information. It's fake, just like everything else he's ever talked about. It's fake, just like all his fake sources. It's fake, just like his hovercars. It's fake, just like him being Edgar Casey reincarnated. It's fake, just like him channeling the Egyptian god Ra. It's fake, just like him being Earth's greatest prophet. It's fake, just like him having telekinetic superpowers he got from bathing in his own piss. That's fake. By the way, I could test him for that too, if you would like, but I'm not offering any Hummers for that one. That, come on. Got to limit the exposure here. So, David Wilcock's every long narrative that he has sold has all crashed and burned, has been revealed to be fake, false information that was either extremely massaged data connecting a bunch of lines that don't really, a bunch of dots that don't really connect, or using 100% provably fake sources to generate 100% provably fake stories, as in the case of Corey Goode. All of these things fall apart, but he's coming, friends. That's not very good mental image, right? I don't want to think about David Wilcock's O face. He's coming with new things to sell. But I think people should be aware, informed, and fully educated on just how much bullshit this man has sold in the past 2 decades before they give him another penny. He should have to give all the money back from all the last narratives that all crashed and burned. What about all those people that you sold Corey Goode's story to? Don't you, David Wilcock, feel any sense of responsibility? Shouldn't you have to issue refunds to all those people who paid you money to hear Corey Goode stories? Shouldn't you have to issue refunds for all those people who paid you money to hear Pete Peterson fake stories, or Bill Brockrader, or Daniel Brinkley fake stories? Shouldn't you have to refund all that money from the last course where you were going to teach everybody the anti-gravity secrets and free energy secrets? By the way, nobody showed me a working prototype after they took his course. And I am aware that somehow alien scientists took that course to see if there was anything to it. It was all garbage, according to him, all collected nonsense that was free all over the internet. But besides David Wilcock cashing in on the latest completely, totally, provably fake story, Corey Goode, and it's important to realize that these guys, David Wilcock and Jimmy Church, ran around for years helping Corey Goode sell his fake stories, milking Corey Goode for fake stories that they could sell to their followers. That's how all of this works. Unless we forget, I want to be sure to remind everybody that Jimmy Church especially is responsible. He's one of the people who made this monster are, I consider a few different people helped make this Corey Goode monster. David Wilcock was certainly one of them. Jimmy Church was certainly one of them. Jay Widener was certainly one of them. Now, Jay Widener, to his credit, has come out and said all of Corey Goode's stories were fake. And he said that before the depositions. So, but I still hold Jay Widener responsible for helping create this Corey Goode monster and helping Corey Goode build people out of literally millions of dollars for his fake stories. And also, who else is responsible? Gaia TV, who pumped all kinds of money into a guy that nobody vetted. Nobody checked for evidence. Nobody did anything. They just stood there and took the money, right? Let that money roll in. Praise the cash. This guy's telling some great stories. We could be praising the cash for years off of this guy's fake stories. And they did. But let's not forget that Jimmy Church is one of the people who made this monster. And isn't it interesting that Jimmy Church now doesn't want to talk about Corey Goode after Corey Goode stabbed him in the back and was planning to slander him and all kinds of stuff in that secret Facebook group? You remember that Doxgate stuff, right? And but I'm here to remind everyone that these people should be held accountable. I'm here to remind everyone that these people should be forced to talk about this. Jimmy Church should be forced to make a statement about why he helped this clown sell fake stories for years. Jimmy Church should have to give all the money back that he made helping this clown sell his fake stories. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Tonight is night one.
Oh, that's great. So this was broadcast on KGRA, who we've done a previous story on. Remember that KGRA's program director and producer for many of the shows on KGRA was a convicted child rapist. David, nobody wants to talk about that, right? Nobody wants to talk about KGRA employing a guy like that, or how everybody on that network knew about it and just kept their mouth shut because there's money to be made. Who cares? Who cares, right? Real credible people, these people. These people are all slimy slime balls, all of them.
Of our Breakaway Civilizations and Secret Space Program week right here on Fade to Black. Kicking it off tonight with Corey Goode. Corey was identified as an intuitive empath with precognitive
He's got
abilities
superpowers.
and was recruited through one of the MyLab programs at the young age of 6. Goode trained and served in the MyLab program from 1976 to 1986 and 1987. Towards the end of his time as a MyLab, he was assigned to the IE support role for a rotating Earth delegate seat shared by secret Earth government groups in a human-type ET Super Federation Council. Goode's IE abilities played an important role in communicating with.
I love how Jimmy Church is just reading this like it's all 100% factual, right? But remember, Jimmy Church, he vets everything 3 times.
Non-terrestrial beings termed interfacing as part of the secret space program. During his 20-year service, he had a variety of experiences and assignments, including the Intruder Intercept Interrogation Program, assignment to the ASSR ISRV Auxiliary Specialized Space Research,
Somebody likes acronyms.
Interstellar Class Vessel, and much more. This all occurred in a 20 and back agreement from 1986 all the way through 2007 with recall work until the present day.
I love it. I love hearing Jimmy Church talk about Corey Goode's space adventures. Now that Corey Goode was forced to admit under oath that he's never even been to space. Jimmy Church, you are a clown. I'm sending Jimmy Church clown shoes for Christmas. I'm just letting you know. I've got his address too. I'm sending Jimmy Church clown shoes for Christmas. Jimmy Church needs some goddamn clown shoes after this, especially because he refuses to even acknowledge this or talk about it or, God forbid, apologize for selling this garbage to his audience. Just like he didn't apologize for selling the Dr. Reed, that fake doctor that had an alien in his freezer that wasn't a real doctor. No, he recently platformed him too. Didn't apologize for that. Didn't apologize for platforming Sarah R. Adams, who was selling fake medbed sessions. When you go up in a Stargate to a Galactic Federation mothership and they put you on a med bed and you get to meet the aliens, but all that shit was just a Skype call. Yeah, he platformed her too and didn't apologize for it. Or Jason Shurka, who he just platformed again. Jimmy Church needs clown shoes. I'm taking up a collection. We're getting Jimmy Church some good clown shoes too. Professional clown shoes. That's what we're getting Jimmy Church for doing all of this. He just platformed Jason Shurka too, by the way, who was telling everybody fairy tales about these secret underground bases and child trafficking in Washington, D.C. That was years ago. No evidence, no proof. The same guy who said he knew somebody that was 600 years old. No evidence, no proof. The same guy who was telling people behind a paywall that you can cure autism with camel milk and essential oils. Jimmy Church, Platform Tim, didn't ask him any hard questions about any of his fantastical claims. And here's Jimmy Church doing his thing, the UFO circle jerk. He read off verbatim a biography that was handed to him by Corey Goode. Here, read this. This stuff sounds great. But don't check into any of these claims. Don't do any research and don't vet anything. Just sit next to me and ask me softball questions and we'll both make a lot of money, Jimmy Church. And they did.
He now works in the information technology and communications industry with 20 years experience in hardware and software, virtualization, physical and IT security, counter electronic surveillance, risk assessment, and executive protection. He served in the Texas Army State Guard from 2007 to 2012, command, control, communications, and computation and intelligence. That has nothing to do, by the way, with what he does with the SSP. Goode is in direct physical contact with the blue avions.
Oh, Jimmy Church. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Jimmy Church, see what happens when you don't do any of your own research, where you just accept fantastical stories from losers like Corey Goode? You look foolish. You just said that Corey Goode is in direct physical contact with blue avian aliens. Well, I don't know, Jimmy Church. I don't know if you didn't get the news, right? Have you not seen the news of the depositions? By the way, we did the moral and correct and ethical thing, Jimmy Church. We broadcast all that. We gave people the truth. You, Jimmy Church, are a merchant of lies. You, Jimmy Church, are a merchant of fake information. You are a disinformation peddler. We give people true, accurate, and real information here. That's the difference between Jimmy Church and me. When faced with a choice, do I just sit there and take the money while these people are making fake claims, or do I report accurately on the truth of their claims? I know what choice I make, and I know what choice Jimmy Church makes, and now he looks foolish, and he truly needs a nice pair of clown shoes for Christmas, and I'm going to do it. People think I'm kidding. I am sending him. I'll take pictures of the box and the shoes. We're sending Jimmy Church some clown shoes for this one. He needs them. He deserves it, right? And by the way, all of you people who work with him on different, let me just say, projects who don't call him out for this, you're part of the UFO circle jerk problem, right? This is why this happens, because of what I've been saying. It's a big club, and I ain't in it. They all back up each other's bullshit. They all don't call each other on the bull. Imagine if every single person who had a show or a channel or a podcast or was a writer or an author or a newspaper person or anyone in media, imagine if they all held these people accountable instead of just using them to sell fake stories like Jimmy Church does.
Of this Sphere Being Alliance, who have chosen him as a delegate to interface with multiple ET federations and councils on their behalf, liaison with the SSP Alliance Council, and to deliver important messages to humanity. Of course, his website is Sphere
important fake messages. Yes, Jimmy. Great job.
Alliance.com. You can click on that over at jimmychurchradio.com. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black our good friend, Corey Goode. Corey, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. I don't think you missed one controversial detail in my bio there.
Hey, man, you know what?
Yeah, because you gave it to him to read, Corey Goode, and he didn't check anything. He just read your fake shit.
Corey, it took a big breath, but, I decided tonight to go full on, and I appreciate it. And let's start off with this. I want to, there's a large audience tonight that is here for the first time that may have never heard you speak. So I want to address them first. That I want them to kind of get a picture of who you are.
Who he is a man with a lot of intellectual property who makes up fake stories in order to sell stupid people fake narratives and disinformation and false information.
Because you have been, you've done some Gaiam TV stuff, but pretty much you've been behind the scenes and speaking through David Wilcock and with David. That's fine. But I got to meet you personally a couple of months ago. We got to hang out for the first time because we've always done stuff, over the phone and so forth through this show. But I want to say to everybody, Corey Goode's a real guy. And he's actually a really good-looking guy too. He's real.
He's got a man
when
crush.
I looked into your eyes, and this is what I want the audience to understand.
This will show you something. Is this man, Jimmy Church, being honest when he's about to make this next statement, or is this just all part of the grift?
Is when I looked at you, met you, shook your hand, and hung out with you, I realized that your feet are on the ground, you're uber smart, you're intelligent, and this comes from that, your entire presentation and everything. I need the audience to understand, because they see the web, right? They see the stuff, but I have met you personally, and there is such integrity there. That
such integrity. And here is Jimmy Church signing off on this man. Here is Jimmy Church approving of his narrative. Here is Jimmy Church ramming this man's fake background, his fake space adventures, and everything else down his audience's throat.
The audience really needs to wrap their mind around that. And that's where I wanted to start. And it was great hanging out with you. Now, for the last couple of months since you've been away, really quick before we jump into this show tonight, what have you been up to for the last 2 months?
Since the Conscious Life Expo, things have been extremely hectic in a really good way.
And who introduced him and signed off on his fake stories at Conscious Life Expo that year? I don't know if it was Jimmy Church that year, but Jimmy Church certainly at Conscious Life Expo introduced him and signed off on his now provably 100% fake stories. Great.
So many, I thought I was going to be coming to all these different people and groups, trying to get them to come up with, ideas to come together and bring unity in the community and come up with ideas to help spread this information. Not my information, but information about the breakaway civilizations having these suppressed technologies that could make this planet completely different.
Yeah, what a great job Corey Goode did bringing everybody together. No, Corey Goode destroyed and fractured that entire community, and we see that now.
Place to live for us. And it turns out that the 100th monkey effect is already occurring, and there are all these people already doing things, and all these little projects starting up, and they're coming together so organically that it makes you sit back and smile, because they're meant to be. And it's been very exciting. I've been working harder than I've ever worked. I haven't been able to put as much time as I'd like into, getting some of my updates out there as I'd like. But I think when people see what is unfolding from this time period, they'll understand why this new effort.
Yeah, and now we see what the value of his updates were. His updates were going off and making up new fake stories to sell. When he hadn't proven the first set of fake stories, he would go and create new fake stories. And people like Jimmy Church would co-sign. People like Jimmy Church would help him, sign off on him. Oh, yeah, he's telling the truth. Oh, yeah, he's a great guy.
We just, the website just went live today. It's fulldisclosureproject.org.
And there's one other thing I wanted to ask you more on a personal level, but I think the audience will dig this, which is, you were nervous, right? A couple of months ago, you were talking to me, Jimmy, man. I'm a little freaked out about all of this. and coming out to LA, and where there's going to be, thousands of people there waiting for you. And now that you've gotten that over with, and I told you it was going to be just fine. How do you feel now? I mean, the reception was good, and it was a nice, positive experience for you, I'm sure. But are you okay now? Have you calmed down a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I was, after shooting all the episodes at Gaiam, I was starting to get comfortable in front of the camera, finally.
Yeah, and this is great. Remember, he's now suing Gaia, and he and David Wilcock, or at least David Wilcock, called them Luciferian Satanists after they left Gaia TV. But before that, when they were still paying him, boy, did Corey Goode have great things to say about how great they treated him and what wonderful people they are. And this gives us a window into this man and what a backstabber he is, in my opinion, because this is before the lawsuits, before his firing.
But, we were shooting 12 to 20 episodes in a week. So it was, it was work. But, for the first time being in front of crowds of people, being introverted as I am, it was very intimidating, and I had a lot of intrepidation going in. But just like you told me beforehand, the people were great. There was such beautiful, loving energy from people there. It was a great experience. I was very pleased. It was, it took me a few days to recover.
Yeah, I know. You looked also, I'll say that you looked relieved.
Yeah. And so that's enough of that. It's enough to display that Jimmy Church was all chips in, helping this guy sell his fake story. Just like he was all chips in, helping the fake Doc Reed sell his 100% provably fake story, right? Or Jason Shurka, he's all chips in helping him sell his 100% provably fake story. We're going to get Jimmy Church some clown shoes for Christmas. I think he's earned them. I think he deserves them. And I don't even care if he wears them. We're still going to send them. He needs a pair of clown shoes. So I just wanted to remind everybody of the cosmicon shuffle here. And the way this works is that everybody co-signs each other, right? Instead of, doing the right thing and vetting his claims, doing the right thing and researching some of his claims, or, asking him for some kind of evidence of his claims, instead of doing that, what we get is people that just, seems legit to me. He's such an intelligent person. He's real, right? It's interesting that Jimmy Church or David Wilcock or anybody that stood next to this Corey Goode clown making money this whole time, now they don't want to talk about him because his entire story just crashed and burned. See our coverage of his deposition. By the way, I should mention, I apologize for my absence yesterday night, but it certainly took a lot out of all of us, including Drew and Kari, to get all of that information out. And I'm happy to say that there is now a discovery hearing in Corey Goode's lawsuit case on January 24th. So the status of those depositions aren't likely to change until at least that hearing. I have a source which told me that that Corey Goode's attorney was trying to get some kind of emergency meeting with the judge to get the judge to do something about these depositions leaking to the public. They were supposed to be confidential. Well, she didn't do the right paperwork, so they're public record, and they will remain so, to the best of my knowledge and understanding, until at least this next hearing, right? So David Wilcock has profited from Corey Goode for years. Jimmy Church profited from Corey Goode for years. This is another part of the cosmicon shuffle. When somebody's story that you've been milking and making money with for years and years and years suddenly crashes and burns, even when there is 100% overwhelming proof and evidence that they were lying and that you were complicit in a hoax, you were complicit in helping a fraud sell fake stories. You just shuffle away, keep quiet, and hope everybody forgets what you did. But I am here to remind you, all of you, what these people did with Corey Goode. They infected all of UFO land. They infected real and serious secret space program research with this man's garbage peddled fake fairy tales. They created this monster, and now they want to run away from the Frankenstein's monster that they have created and not take responsibility for the monster they created and all of the damage that the monster did everywhere. That's what's happening here. And Jimmy Church should be ashamed of himself. He is a coward. He is a coward, an intellectual weakling, and a coward for not addressing this. What, he hasn't heard yet? Yeah, right. David Wilcock is a coward for not addressing this. Don't they feel some responsibility to their own audiences for standing there like stupid clowns next to this Corey Goode clown for years, co-signing his fake stories? Don't they have any responsibility? Don't they have any conscience? You know, is their conscience even bothering them that they made tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, I think, in the case of David Wilcock, perhaps? They made tons of money with a 100% fake secret space program whistleblower. Are they giving the money back? Right? Are they going to issue a statement apologizing to their audiences for misleading everyone for years and years and years so that they could make money? And let's be clear, everyone had a responsibility to ask that man Corey Goode for evidence. No one did it. Everyone had a responsibility to vet his claims before just co-signing them as true stories. None of them did it. Jimmy Church didn't do it. David Wilcock didn't do it. Conscious Life Expo didn't do it. Contact in the Desert didn't do it. MUFON didn't do it. No one did any vetting. No one did any investigatory work investigating his claims. And if you had, you would find a whole bunch of red flags right away. For example, I remember that Corey Goode claimed that he was identified as an intuitive empath by a standardized test that he took as a child in Texas. But when you check into that claim, it turns out that no, there was no standardized testing. When he went to the school, he claimed he took that standardized test at. You see, that's a red flag. That's what a real researcher would find out. That's what a real investigator would find out. That's what someone should do. If you're going to stand next to the guy and make money claiming his stories are true, why didn't you do that? Why did I have to do that? And I reported on that. Another red flag. Corey Goode claimed that a spaceship landed in his backyard and took him to the moon base, the Lunar Operations Command. Well, a good investigator like me, not like Jimmy Church or David Wilcock, they suck at this, could find his neighbors. You could talk to his neighbors and see if anybody saw a spaceship. And wouldn't you believe it? Nobody saw a spaceship land in Corey Goode's backyard except for him. Because this is all coming from the land of Corey Goode's make-believe imagination. And any credible or serious researcher, journalist, content producer, whatever, would have known to dig into this man a little bit before you just blindly accept all of his claims as true. Every time that you're actually able to fact check Corey Goode, you find out he's lying. Corey Goode famously said that he was filing all of these ethics complaints with the New Jersey Bar Association over one of his critics, one C.W. Channer, who happens to be a lawyer who would go on the internet and say his stories were fake. By the way, Corey Goode would sue him later. But before he sued him, he was claiming that he was filing all these ethics complaints with the New Jersey Bar Association. And that lawyer is going to get disbarred. Well, I called the New Jersey Bar Association, and Corey Goode never ever. Never. Never did he file any complaints with the New Jersey Bar Association, despite his claim that he did, and that lawyer is going to get a psychological evaluation according to the New Jersey Bar Association. They denied all of Corey Goode's claims when I talked to them multiple. And let's see, what else? Every time I was able to fact check him, Corey Goode famously sat outside I think it was a police station, or was it an FBI office with a box of papers claiming that all of his critics were under criminal investigation, and he's delivering all this evidence. Well, we called that office that he took the picture of. We identified it, where it was. We called the office. No complaints from Corey Goode. No records of any criminal investigation into his critics anywhere I checked. I checked with the state police in his home state. I checked with the state police in the home state of the people he claimed were under investigation. None of that happened. And see, this is what happens when a real investigator or researcher actually does what they're supposed to do. You vet the source and the claims coming from that source, and then you can tell people the truth about him. But David Wilcock and Jimmy Church and everybody else that was making money from Corey Goode, nobody wanted to do that work. And it wasn't that hard to pick this man's story apart and find out that he lies constantly. But none of them did it. But they were right there for the money. And, I think it's somewhat unfair. And one of the reasons I get bitter about all of this is because I do the work, right? And they don't. They're making millions of dollars selling lies, and we're making whatever we can. And by the way, I'm happy and thankful for all the support that we do get. But of course, it is a tiny, tiny percentage of the money that these guys are making peddling lies, provable lies. It's ridiculous that this can continue. It's ridiculous that Jimmy Church, and by the way, all the people that work with Jimmy Church should hold him accountable, right? The Christina Gomez's, right? All his guests that go on his show to help advertise their books or whatever. Everybody should ask him about this and say, don't you owe everyone an explanation for co-signing this garbage peddler for years and making all that money with him, selling provably fake stories for years? But nobody will, right? Everybody thinks that all of this should just get swept under the rug, and then they all move on to new fake sources, new fake stories, and new fake disinformation to shove down the throats of everybody in conspiracy land that has a couple of bucks to spare. They treat the UFO community, conspiracy land, the consciousness community, whatever you want to call it, the esoteric secret space, whatever this thing is, this strange subculture, they treat everyone in it like an ATM machine. They go there and they make withdrawals constantly, but they never make the deposit. The deposit would be the proof that the so-called true stories that they are selling are indeed true. But we never get that deposit. All we get is withdrawals. They take and they take and they take, and no amount of money is enough. Look at the greed of Corey Goode. Look at the greed of David Wilcock. It's ridiculous that this is allowed to continue, but continue it does. So what's up next for Corey Goode? And I don't know what's up next for Corey Goode. Probably a lot more court cases. He's going to keep suing people, keep blaming everybody else for all of his problems, right? But David Wilcock has gone away. He hasn't made, actually, I'm going to check just to be sure. I don't want to misspeak. David Wilcock, except for talking to squirrels in his backyard, he hasn't made a real video live stream in quite some time. And that's part of the cosmicon shuffle. David Wilcock sold a bunch of lies in the form of all this anti-gravity so-called information, right? Yeah, 7 months ago was the last time that he did a live stream. So what do we say? There's a great music video. It's by Ryan Gable. It's a rap song, actually, that talks about the new age money. Corey Goode is getting that new age money. And what he does is he goes and sells this fake garbage peddled information. And then by the time he gets caught, he has to go away for a while, right? He has to take a break so that everybody forgets that last bunch of super important information. You got to sign up for my newsletter and you got to take my new course. This breaking information, it's always sold as some super important information that he has because he's getting briefings. Yeah, he's getting briefings from Fantasyland idiots like Corey Goode or a senile old man who, by the way, when the bank went into that house that was foreclosed on to clean it out, was filled with dead cats and bottles of piss, right? That's who he's getting briefings from. David Wilcock is getting briefings from nutters, from wackadoos. He's not getting briefings from real sources. I cringe every time I hear about David Wilcock and his briefings. So David Wilcock had to go away for a while. 7 months now he's going away, except for posting, nonsense videos of him talking to squirrels in his yard or turkeys in his yard. He had to go away for 6 months. And he's hoping that everybody forgets about all of this because he's got something new to sell you. And we're going to get into that. But before we do, we'll take a musical break with my friend Ryan from The Secret Teachings and his excellent rap song. It's called New Age Money. We're going to get into his latest grift. But before we do, I want to remind you of some of his past grifts and also remind you that David Wilcock doesn't care about you. He cares about the money. He's after the new age money. He's here to get it. He's here to take it from you. And let's be clear. I have no problem with somebody making a living. And I have no problem with somebody marketing the books that they sell. But when the books that they sell are filled with provably fake information, provably fake sources, provably a bunch of prophecies that didn't come true, what value is he offering to people that he's extracting? He's not giving you something. He's here to take. He's here to take that new age money. Never forget, he is here to take you on a fantastical fake journey through fantastical fake information in order to extract the new age money.
David Wilcock with the disclosure.
In week 1, you're going to get the history of Ben, our new insider.
Hey, we getting new age money. Hey, we scamming because we think it's funny.
Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie.
Now there ain't no way that you can kill the con dead. I got new age women and ufology bread, making crystals gold money like a pot full of honey. So many scams laughing in your face. I think it's funny. Throw my cash in your face, ascended from the rat race. Disclosure projects, a money pit. You can call me Chevy Chase. Don't bother playing fair up my sleeve. I got the A's. The other frauds in the dust can't keep up with my pace. A 6-hour video give you just a little taste, then drop 333. I promise you it ain't a waste. If you figure it's a scam, no you ain't. Got a case, I predicted it already. I'm the real Edgar Case. Call me Oracle, cause I knew you'd break the vase. Got a giant Cali house next to Jimmy's UFO base. Edgar Case, Area 51, about to storm the base. Money counter doesn't work, I need a lawn rake.
Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie.
And every 6 months I'll disappear and take a little break. My insiders like my hair and teeth, they are fake. Losers line up, never laid in deep throat the bait. Amazonian goddess lioness makes me salivate. 7-star hotels, Malibu, mental sick. Up in my penthouse, I don't sit where the peasants sit. Lie about security, but the police were never sent. Ego so big, I'm divine, I am heaven sent. At my conferences, skeptics, I do not let them in. Some of my scams in the top 10, like Letterman. Ascension mysteries, I am getting really bored of them. Welcome to the disclosure, let me squeeze your accordion.
That's going to be our new slogan, squeeze the accordion. Welcome to Divine Cosmos, squeeze the accordion.
And every 6 months I'll disappear and take a little break. My insiders like my hair and teeth, they are fake.
Many dozens of undeniable prophetic dreams where, like for example, I had a dream where the axle went out on my car, and that same day the axle actually did go out on my car.
We get new age money. We scamming because we think it's funny. You a ventriloquist dummy. We getting new age money. Let's prove them the Easter Bunny.
There's people who can totally believe in the cabal.
David Wilcock.
Now, in my case, I had dreams about UFOs ever since I was 2 years old that were incredibly dramatic. And then I would be speaking to an older man who had like white hair and a white beard and a robe that was white. When I saw Star Wars, when it came out, which I guess was 77, he became Obi-Wan Kenobi after I saw the movie.
I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
Prior to that time, it didn't look like Obi-Wan Kenobi. My parents actually called my brother Obi-Wan before Star Wars came out, believe it or not. They started calling him Obi-Mias, they called him Obi-Wan.
Ben Kenobi?
Before Obi-Wan Kenobi. So my whole family was very shocked when we saw Star Wars and realized that such a specific name as Obi-Wan that we'd already been calling my brother.
Ben Kenobi?
In week 1, you're going to get the history of Ben, our new insider.
David Wilcock with the disclosure.
Ben Kenobi?
Before Obi-Wan Kenobi. As you may know, through Ancient Aliens, of which I'm in like over 100 episodes, so I wrote my dreams down every morning for 4 years, which in and of itself is quite a feat. You know, most people don't do that. Most people don't remember their dreams. As you may know,
I was once a Jedi Knight.
Yeah, he was once a Jedi Knight, and he called his brother Obi-Wan before Star Wars movie came out. And according to David Wilcock, Star Wars is essentially a documentary. So what about the latest of his garbage peddled information? Well, that would be the Michael Prophecies. This is the new garbage that he's peddling. And you see how you can download the Michael Prophecies? I don't know if it's going to share this. Let me check to be sure. Let me see if it will. Yeah. To download your own PDF, please verify your purchase below. So this is a for-profit book, right? I will not share this on the internet. This discretion reflects my integrity. He doesn't want anybody pirating the book. But it's not a free book. You gotta pay for it. And this is really problematic because, well, look, I'm going to show you why it's problematic. To begin with, the book doesn't even begin, and he's already lying to people, in my opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion. Here's the cover of the book, The Michael Prophecies by Saint Michael and Saint Lucia with David Wilcock. So essentially, he's claiming that he wrote this book with the Archangel Michael, and he wrote this book with a dead saint, Saint Lucia. I think he's talking about Saint Lucy there. I'm not sure. I have to look that up. But this is the worst book in conspiracy land that I've ever read. This is the worst book about prophecy or anything that I've ever read. I mean, literally, it is a garbage. It is 555 pages of garbage. By the way, I read 555 pages of Corey Goode's garbage, so you don't have to. And I'm proud to say that I made it through. This book is filled with garbage. So I'm going to talk about what the book consists of. The book consists of David Wilcock's dreams and him connecting the dots. And he does so in a haphazard, ridiculous manner that makes absolutely no sense. What do I mean by that? Well, let me read you some passages and you'll see what I mean. And he connects together, somehow he connects together the world of UFOs, the world of ontology, which is the study of one infinite creator, the world of secret space programs, the world of spiritualities in the form of the Archangel Michael. He claims that he saw an apparition of Mary, that would be the Virgin Mary, on Thanksgiving. He says on Thanksgiving 2022, I had what I can only be described as a Marial apparition appeared to me. With such stunning force and power, I will never be the same again. I had just inserted what was to be the very last piece of data for the entire book, regarding the Virgin Mary apparitions at Fatima, Portugal in 1917. Suddenly, I had an incredibly strong sense that someone or something was in the room off to my right. It felt as if 10 people were all standing in one place. I felt the presence of this force very intensely, while also being able to see it out of my peripheral vision. I didn't see the apparition for very long, but it was long enough. It moved about 2 feet. As it did, it pushed and pulled everything around it with simultaneous attraction and repulsion. That makes no sense, but okay. I could feel lines of force rippling through me. It felt as if every atom in me and around me was rolling and flexible. All of it was connected together with geometric lines, like an elaborate box, but the box actually wasn't real. Mary was outside the box, and she giggled about the work I had just done, and the entire box shook. Time and space spread through her rays. It was utterly intolerable. If this union was paired with a human voice, everything in my physical reality would shake. All matter in our box was now connected together in her greater whole. I literally felt like I was going to projectile vomit from it. Nothing else I ever experienced in my life was this overwhelming, not even close. So he's saying that he saw the Virgin Mary appear to him, right? He saw the Virgin Mary appear to him. And yeah. Great. And she was giggling about all of the work that he was doing with the Archangel Michael. Again, you know, it's all this whole book is filled with disconnected nonsense. And he does what I can only describe, and what others, including C.W. Channer, has described. I think C.W. Channer has a different name for it. I call it the super duper prover maneuver. Here's what David Wilcock does throughout the book. He will give you one true and accurate piece of information. Like, he will talk about how people saw the Virgin Mary appear at Fatima. And that is true. People did apparently believe that they saw the Virgin Mary at Fatima in 1917, and the Fatima prophecies came from that. But after he does this is the super duper prover maneuver. He gives you one piece of real and factual information, and then he just gives you a whole bunch of bullshit for 3 more pages. You know, he saw the Virgin Mary too. And in David Wilcock's stupidity and naivete and ridiculous storytelling narrative world, because the Fatima thing was true, you're just supposed to believe him that he saw the Virgin Mary, and that the Virgin Mary was giggling and happy over all of his work. He also talks about the UFO cover-up, which is, you know, where does all these lines, these dots come together? It doesn't. None of this stuff makes any sense. His entire book sounds like it was written by a rambling lunatic or somebody who's schizophrenic. And by the way, that's my opinion, but I'm entitled to it. My mother, by the way, was schizophrenic. So I have some insight into their thought processes. And this sounds to me like this entire book was just rambling bunch of disconnected nonsense, right? And he gets into all kinds of different stuff. Here's another passage. Nowadays, you could lose your entire social media presence and thereby your ability to make an independent living just by publicly declaring such forbidden thoughts. You may already be so triggered that you are moments away from putting this book down and never looking back. As an obedient servant, you have been dutifully taught to believe what you are told and deny all information that mommy and daddy tell you is false. The good kid gets a lollipop, sweet report card with straight A's, and is cool. No such social rewards existed for saucer freaks and weirdos like me. The UFO community has always been fringe, with small groups gathering in small rooms. Every talking head on TV expends comedic ammunition shooting down the nonconformists with laugh tracks armed and ready in case the audience falls. Giorgio, my co-star on Ancient Aliens, has his hair standing straight up, thus making him the ultimate meme master for people who believe in aliens. Giorgio was willing to sacrifice himself to do something outrageous for the love of the global audiences, whereas I played it straight. I just didn't have the courage. We talked about the moment he came in for the first taping with his hair stuck up straight from the motorcycle ride. The producer says, no, we love it. You know, disconnected stories. He talks about bullies again. For those unaware, one of his books, the whole book is about him being bullied as a child. This one, he goes in, and then he starts talking about turkeys. On an animal level, we all fear being banished from the group because in the wild, an animal without its pack will soon fall prey to hungry predators. Now that I have spent an entire year, this is great. Now that I have spent an entire year living in silent meditation at 8,600 feet here in Colorado, I have witnessed a direct example of just this very phenomenon. As of today, November 13th, I had a big split with my native turkey population, who I have filmed and made several YouTube videos about. For months, I was consistent with 9 of them. This family of turkeys moved with incredible military precision, never made a mistake, and no one ever died. Then a few months ago, 5 or more orphans showed up and were rescued, all juveniles. They had different genetics with warm black feathers all over their heads, whereas daddy's kids had bald heads with some variation of gray and or pink skin. Clearly, something happened to these turkey kids. They would have died if they hadn't been adopted by daddy's flock, right? Broken wings can heal. The main thing these turkeys die from in the mountains is hunger. Therefore, it is an act of compassion to keep them healthy so they can defend themselves. I started seeing a lot of arguments in the flock. I even broke up a few fights during feeding time, and I made sure they were all getting enough. This guy feeds wild turkeys in his yard, and suddenly it's in a book, and there's all this cosmic significance to him feeding wild turkeys. I mean, I have a cabin in the mountains of Pennsylvania. There's wild turkeys everywhere. You know, occasionally we throw something out for them, right? Corn cobs or, you know, corn or leftover stuff. I don't know. I've never thought, gee, I have to write a book about me feeding the turkeys. All his entire book is all ridiculous, stupid stories that he's finding some kind of cosmic significance in these stories, right? Then he starts talking about the turkeys and a fatal divorce. There's always some bit of like, I don't know if it's like a Freudian slip. He writes about stuff, right? And it really is about him and his wife, but he's telling the story with turkeys, right? I am expecting any of these 5 turkeys to make it, but their fate has not yet been revealed to me. I am continuing to feed and reassure them. Deaths were caused by a lack of care. Why did this huge and potentially fatal divorce happen? Most likely the reason the 5 orphans got kicked out is that 2 of daddy's own children have died just since they showed up. The new kids were too sloppy. They wouldn't play by the rules. I was seeing it happen. There was an incredible strain in trying to unify the families together. The new kids killed innocent children in the community through their ignorance, stupidity, and lack of attention to the environment around them. And now that they've been vanished and likely won't survive the winter, how are these turkeys dying? They are being hunted down and eaten alive by canines like coyotes and wolves. My own dog would jump in if I wasn't careful. I also watched an entire society of at least 25 chipmunks systematically vanish this year, week by week. They are, in effect, the burgers of the forest. You know, like, this is what he's writing about. This is what people should pay him for. This guy's writing about turkeys and chipmunks, right? In his yard. But he's some kind of prophet? And why the hell would the Archangel Michael want him to write about turkeys and chipmunks in his backyard? And while we're on the subject of that, the marketing push for this has begun. And I am on David Wilcock's mailing list. By the way, if you want to get spam begging you for money several times a day, sign up for David Wilcock's bullshit course or for the email funnel. You know, he collects emails and then he markets. He, like with MailChimp or something, you'll get all kinds of garbage, right? You'll get all kinds of garbage from from David Wilcock begging for money. And some of the marketing material that he sends out is so funny that I have to read some of it, right? Because he's claiming, and by the way, I'm going to copy and paste this from the message that I have here because I just want you to see, like, he said, I've spent over a year now living in a non-insulated log home at 8,600 feet in Colorado. This winter, I figured out how to survive. with knee-high wool socks, oak firewood, and hiding out downstairs to avoid deafening wind, noise, and radical temperature changes. And if you read my last email, telekinetic events have become quite common here as well. I'm also emailing with more details on the Michael Prophecies to answer some of your questions and give you an origin story of how all this came about, along with why you're getting a free copy in your inbox right now. Here it is. So he's giving people free copies if they're on his mail list, but other people have to buy them. I'm not quite sure how the grift is fully constructed yet, right? By July of 2022, I realized that all the so-called global readings I had thought I had brought in from 1996 to the end of 1999 were designed to be read in our present-day timeline. This means that we are all living through a time nexus, which is very intense. Worldwide stress reaches a peak where success seems impossible. Then the magic occurs, the unexpected miracle, the deus ex machina, not an absurd, overused plot device, reality. Humanity is about to save itself and be saved in the process. Right? It's like bad, this is terrible, bad drama. And I love how he's claiming that he is in, a log cabin in the mountains trying to survive. I'm not going to share his, I don't want anybody to accuse me of doxing or anything like that, but it's public record. I'm not going to share pictures of his house, but if you want to get some idea, all you have to do is Google $1 million log home or $1 million log mansion, and you'll get some idea of where he's living. He's not living in some little cabin, freezing, trying to survive the winter with firewood. He's living in a 5,000 square foot log cabin mansion that's worth at least $1 million, maybe $2 by now with the recent rise in home prices. It's all garbage. It's all a facade. It's all an illusion. And overly dramatized nonsense. But look, if you believe that him feeding turkeys and talking to chipmunks in his backyard was directed by the Archangel Michael, right, or has some spiritual significance, then buy his shitty book. But that's what it is. It's a book of nonsense. This is David Wilcock's worst book. This is the worst book that I have ever had to be forced to read. And I read 555 pages of it because I kept thinking there's got to be at least something in here that's not this bad, this terrible, right? He is scraping the bottom of the barrel, right? Oh, I don't have any new fake sources after the Corey Goode thing crashed. I don't have any new fake sources to milk for fake stories to sell my followers. I'll just talk about my trying time living in my $1 million log cabin mansion and how I'm struggling to survive here, right? And I'll talk about me feeding the turkeys and the moose that I talk to and the chipmunks that I feed. Like, that's how bad this has gotten. But if David Wilcock is a man of habit, and I believe that he is, he's taken 7 months off now. He's coming back with this, and this is the new grift. This is the worst bunch of nonsense I have ever heard from him the entire time. This is worse than Corey Goode. It's worse than Pete Peterson. It's worse than Bill Brockrader, the child molester he was milking for fake stories. It is essentially 555 pages of disconnected stories and nonsense that makes absolutely no sense from a possibly mentally ill man having a goddamn mental breakdown, suffering from vaginal withdrawal after his wife left him, talking to squirrels in his freaking backyard and chipmunks, and assigning some kind of cosmic significance to just that. I'm talking to squirrels out in my backyard, right? And let's not forget that all of this is and he's also claiming that he has telekinetic superpowers now. This is besides talking to the Archangel Michael, who is giving him these prophecies. But the book is very erratic and unclear because in one part of the book, he says these are dream visions that he had from 1992 to 1998 or something like that. And in other parts of the book, he pretends that he's talking to the Archangel Michael, who is telling him the prophecies. So which is it? Are these dreams from 1992 to 1998? You didn't say that you were getting those dreams from the Archangel Michael back then. It's only now when you need a new grift that suddenly you're talking to angels. And I would just caution everyone. This man is a deceiver. This man is a false prophet, a provably false prophet. I no more believe that he is in contact with angelic entities than I believe he is in contact with aliens or fairies or unicorns. It's all fake. It's all nonsense. It's all fantasy land garbage to sell his followers on another book of nonsense. This is David Wilcock's book of nonsense. You can tell he's not in contact with angelic forces because angelic forces wouldn't involve themselves with this man. Angelic forces would not suddenly help a lifetime, decades-long grifter who's been selling fake stories for decades sell real angelic information. I just don't believe that. And I'm entitled to my opinion, my speculation, and my belief. And based on my own religious beliefs, which are Christian in nature, my interpretation here is that one of the possibilities here, either David Wilcock is not in contact with anything and he's just making all this shit up. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that he believes he's in contact with angelic forces, but he is in contact with demonic dark forces who are tricksters and deceivers, and they are pretending to be angelic forces, and they are feeding him what? Lies. What is Satan? What are demonic forces? They are the lords of lies. So we have to ask ourselves a true and honest question here. Is it more likely that a man who has been lying for a living for decades and decades and decades is suddenly receiving angelic, spiritual, important information and prophecies from angelic, divine sources, and that he's truly in contact with the angel, the Archangel Michael? Or is a man who has been deceiving people, lying to people, in contact with entities who are liars, who lie to humanity, who deceive humanity, who mislead humanity? I know what I believe. And so this entire narrative of his, that he's some kind of prophet, he's talking to angels. I mean, I'm not going to, but I found at least 10 biblical scriptures that apply to false prophets, and all of them fit David Wilcock to a T. He is a false prophet. He fails the test of a prophet, not once. You only get one. You can fail the test of a prophet by one false prophecy. I can demonstrably easily prove that David Wilcock has had over 100 predictions that never took place, that never happened. That means this man fails the test of a prophet. He is no prophet. He is not in contact with divine or angelic forces. If anything, he's in contact with deceiving spirits, trickster spirits, not spirits, demons. Let's be clear. There is ample and supportive evidence that demonic entities masquerade as angelic entities to mislead people. And if I had to choose which side would be using David Wilcock as a vessel to mislead, to put information out to humanity, I know that I believe that angels would not be in contact with this man. Only demonic forces would be interested in using him as a vessel. After all, this man has channeled Egyptian gods, right? Before he was channeling messages from the Virgin Mary and Saint Lucia and the Archangel Michael, he was channeling messages from Egyptian gods, right? Great. I believe that David Wilcock is not in contact with anything. That's my best guess. But if I had to say, okay, he's in contact, he believes that he is getting messages, then my first inkling would be that he's in contact or getting messages from demonic entities from the dark side, right? As much as he talks about the Dark Alliance, by the way, the Dark Alliance was fake. So is the Dark Fleet, because Corey Goode made up all that shit, right? And David Wilcock is so dramatic. Here's a guy who the brakes went out on his car and suddenly he's under deep state attack. Remember that one, right? Yeah. So I would not recommend that anybody pay him a dime for this. But I have a feeling that this may be his new grift may be part of a marketing ploy, which is he's giving out this free book in order to collect email addresses. And you have to give him your email address, and then he's going to send you all kinds of emails every day, begging for money. At least that's what he did the last time that I was on his email list. He would be begging for money. Buy my new course, buy my new course, buy my new course. And while the book itself may be free, the new course is probably going to be $333. That's what it always is. Why? Because $333 is good money for selling people bullshit. And we heard Corey Goode under oath in a deposition say that David Wilcock made $4 million from one course. By all accounts, and by various sources, I will just say are familiar with David Wilcock. By the way, he should be very careful who he thinks his friends are. Because it's sad. Actually, it's sad to me that some of the people that he is close with or thinks he's close with call me and tell me what's going on. And what I'm hearing is that David Wilcock is broke. He gave all of his money to this scam aerospace company, shady company that's never produced anything. He promised everybody that they were going to have a working hovercar prototype with a free energy engine in a year. That was a year and 2 months ago. And then he got a divorce. Ask anybody that gets a divorce. That's very, very expensive. Everybody's telling me that he's broke and desperate. And that's when things become interesting for a cosmic con artist, because if he's truly as broke as indicators would seem to indicate, he's going to come out and he is going to do a huge push, a huge hype for a new money grab. He needs money. He's talking to the angels. He's getting telekinetic superpowers, right? He's going to come out with a new course and hope that he gets that kind of big money again, like Corey Goode described, $4 million. He needs money like that. And in order to get there, he's going to have to really, really overhype the new grift. He's going to have to really, really, really overpromise and underdeliver. And again, the way this Cosmic Con Shuffle works is he's hoping that all of you are going to 100% forget all of his past bullshit. Forget all of his past failed prophecies. Forget all of his past failed promises. Forget that all of the information that he has sold up until this point right now, most of it, 90% of it, has been provably fake information from provably fake people and provably fake sources, including this whole Corey Goode debacle. Did you buy anything from him while he was pushing Corey Goode? If you did, you deserve your money back, because Corey Goode has now stated under oath that he's never been to space. So David Wilcock selling you the secret space program insider. Oh, my insider's getting briefings. I'm getting briefings. Everybody's getting briefings. Yeah, they're getting briefings. They brief each other. They back up each other. It's all one big con. And by the way, it's a big club, right? And I ain't in it. So unlike many people, I'm allowed to tell you the truth about all of this. And if we needed any more proof that David Wilcock signing off on Corey Goode was absolutely ridiculous, I have a little bit more proof. Because besides all the secret space program stuff, Corey Goode claims briefings from high-level government officials and sources. And they're telling him a lot about what's really going on in the solar system. Because, you know, he's a secret space program insider. At least he was before he had to admit that he'd never even been to space while he was under oath in court, right? Yeah. David Wilcock, or excuse me, Corey Goode has made absolutely fantastical, ridiculous claims. My favorite of Corey Goode's latest claims is that there are aliens coming from, I think it's the planet Venus, if I recall. I have a bumper for this. We'll show you in a moment. And there's aliens are coming here to bang the old broads, right? Not the young hot broads, but the old broads. By the way, most of Corey Goode and David Wilcock's audience tends to be older people, especially older women. So I think he specifically designed that fake story to entice the old ladies that pay him for courses and books and DVDs or movies or whatever shit these clowns are hawking. And it's great. Corey Goode and Jimmy Church co-signed on this clown. This man, Corey Goode, is 100% now discredited, provably fake, never been to space, fake secret space program insider. And the fact that anybody would co-sign his stupid fake stories like Jimmy Church or David Wilcock should tell you that anybody who co-signed anything to do with Corey Goode, including Michael Sala and others, James Gilead, Peter Slattery, anybody who co-signed Corey Goode's fake stories is not a good source of information, because I want to show you the level of ridiculous Corey Goode information that these people are signing off on as true stories.
Oops, accidentally hit the button. But yeah, we are at war, and it is a different war than we have ever witnessed. This rogue galactic federation that many are so excited to be in communion with, you know, were kicked out of Andromeda. They were fighting with the negative in that galaxy, and they are headquartered on a planet called Venus. And you know, we have, so see if this story sounds familiar. We have angelic looking ETs from Venus who are coming down to Earth and having affairs with women who they find fair. And in this case, it's elderly women, but I guess they like more mature women. I don't know. And in this case, it's elderly women, but I guess they like more mature women. I don't know.
Wow, did you hear that? The aliens from Venus, they only want to bang old broads, right? Gotta make sure you understand that. Look, this is a Truthseekers exclusive story, okay? This is a new Truthseekers exclusive story. According to Corey Goode, there are aliens from the planet Venus coming down to Earth to find women that they find fair. But apparently, those aliens from another planet coming here only want to bang old broads, okay? They don't want to bang any young hot broads. They want to bang old broads. Maybe they got an old broad fetish, a mom fetish, grandma fetish, who knows? And this is not supposed to, this is serious, okay? This is some serious shit we're talking about. Those aliens want to bang old broads. Where does he get this from? How, in what universe does he think this sounds like it makes sense? Okay, there's these aliens, and they're coming here to bang human chicks, but they only want to bang the old ones. Apparently, they like old broads, right? Or what do you say, mature women? Jesus.
So,
yeah, I don't think it's exciting or good that some goddamn aliens from another planet in our solar system are coming here to bang our old broads. All right? Some of them old broads are still hot and cougars, and they're definitely still bangable. And I, for one, I will speak for all of Earth and all the men on Earth when I say that we, the men of Earth, do not want aliens from another planet coming here to bang our hot chick old cougars. All right? So there's a lot of men on Earth that are getting a little older. They're divorced. They never got married, whatever, and they need a piece. All right? And them old cougars are easy targets sometimes. So I want to just say, for the benefit of Earth people, that Corey Goode should go talk to those aliens and tell them to stop banging our old broads. I am absolutely convinced that if we just let them bang our old broads, they're going to be banging our young broads next. Okay? Can't have them banging our young broads. If I'm telling you right now, if we let these aliens bang the old broads here, they're going to start with banging the old broads and the cougars, and eventually they're going to want to bang the young hot ones, all right? And we do not need that competition. Have you seen pictures of these aliens? Those are hot dudes. Those are hot dudes. They look like Chris Hemsworth from Thor. Am I saying that right? I think so. Listen, we do not need this kind of competition, okay? And I'm going to just show you. Look, I'm going to show you. We can't have these. Look at these guys. Look at this. You want to compete? Do you really, as a human male, want to have to compete with those Nordic alien men? Look at that. Look at that. Blonde hair, blue eyes, high cheekbones, perfect skin, perfect teeth, probably perfect nails, probably, right? Look at this. Do you want to compete with that dude for old broads you're trying to bang? Or worse yet, do you want to compete with that dude for young broads you're trying to bang? Come on, man. Corey Goode, Corey Goode is bringing us terrible news because all men of Earth are right now, we have to compete with some hot alien dudes that come here to bang our old broads. And I'm telling you, if we let them bang our old broads, they're going to want to bang the young hot ones too. No, you can't give these aliens an inch. So that, my friends, this is just one example of the absolutely ridiculous fake information that Corey Goode peddles. And the fact that David Wilcock or Jimmy Church, James Gilead, or any of these other clowns have not come out and said, this man is telling fake stories. I don't condone or, I don't co-sign his fake stories, is ridiculous. But that's how this game works. They all co-sign each other's fake stories, and they don't talk about how ridiculous the so-called intel that they're all putting out is. It's ridiculous. So what we have now is David Wilcock trying to pivot away from Corey Goode. In the deposition, Corey Goode stated that he bought the controlling interest off of David Wilcock for their two shitty movies that, by the way, are now proven to be filled with fake stories from Corey Goode. Based on his own sworn testimony in court, they're all fake stories. Well, I don't know about all, because he did say some things like, well, these are science fiction stories or dramatizations built on top of my real world experiences. But then when asked if he'd ever been to space physically, not that I'm aware of. When asked about the Anshar, those are my avatars. I contact them during my meditations. No, even Michael Sala actually has thrown Corey Goode under the bus recently and said that these were always physical, real-world experiences. There was no talk of astral or any of this meditation channeling before. He told Michael Sala these are all real-world physical experiences, and that Michael Salla could and should investigate him, right? David Wilcock has made a lot of money pushing that garbage. Now he wants to make a lot of money again, pushing new garbage. This time he is, in my opinion, he is robbing the Christian church of material. Just like he robbed, in my opinion, he robbed the Law of One material. Did you know that he was teaching courses that were filled with the Law of One material for $333, and he had no permission from the copyright holders of the Law of One material to be a teacher of that material? And in fact, the Law of One material is free if you want it. You contact the people, the Law of One Society or whatever it is, you pay shipping, they'll send you the book or books. But that didn't stop David Wilcock from claiming that he had some insider high-level knowledge of that Law of One material, which in my opinion is channeled garbage and not very, some people like it. Some people think that it did help them navigate the world of human spirituality. And to those people, good for you. But this man should not be making money selling something that he doesn't have a right to sell. This man should not be making money selling provably fake stories from provably fake government insiders that never were government insiders. But this is where we're at, and this is where we find ourselves. And David Wilcock is coming back. Mark my words, David Wilcock is coming back to sell his new grift. And he needs money really badly, I hear. So this next grift is going to be big on grift. It's going to be a lot of overpromising, a lot of under-delivering, and a lot of no proof and no evidence. And all the circle jerkers in the world are going to get together and help him sell his garbage. He might be on Mike Adams' Brighteon. He might be on Sean Stone, maybe Jenny McCarthy again, to sell his new garbage, fake information from an Archangel. And by the way, I'm wondering about the legality of claiming right on the cover of a book you're selling that it was written by an Archangel. Can he prove that the Archangel Michael wrote that book with him? Can he prove that the Saint Lucia wrote that book with him? Can he prove that he experienced a Mary apparition? Of course not. But that won't stop him from making fantastical claims and taking money from people for claims he cannot, will not, and never will prove. So let this be a warning to all that David Wilcock is going to be on the prowl again, hoping beyond hope that everyone forgets all of this past nonsense, that everyone forgets all of the past fake stories that he's been selling for decades, so that you buy his new fake stories he's going to be selling now. And I, for one, say that we should not let him. I say no more. No more fake sources. No more fake whistleblowers. No more fake sources, David Wilcock. No more fake whistleblowers, David Wilcock. No more fairy tales from entities you cannot prove that you were in communication with. No more provably fake stories. No more. You've had, how many millions of dollars do you get to make selling fake information to stupid people before somebody stands up and says, no more? No more, David Wilcock. I'm here standing up saying it again today. Unless you give back every penny you've ever made from all the other fake stories that you have sold for decades, you have no right to prove, you have no right to ask people for money based on your horrible, proven track record of selling provably fake stories with provably fake sources. This whole David Wilcock's whole life has been one big cesspool of lies. That's all it is, friends. It's all lies. And I get it. Some people want to be comforted, and some people choose religion to be comforted by. Some people choose meditation practices to be comforted by. And some people choose televangelists, right? Promising you salvation, right? Like this Peter Popoff and these other idiots. There's no difference between a televangelist begging for money constantly and David Wilcock begging for money constantly. And now David Wilcock is slowly morphing in to a Christian televangelist. You notice that he's gotten away from the New Age sources. He's already burnt everybody out in the New Age community. I believe he'll be pivoting, and now he's going to try to grift off the Christian community, off of the Catholics, off of the Christians, off the Orthodox Christians, maybe off of the Jews, who also, many of them believe in the Archangel Michael and some of these other things. But I, for one, say no more. David Wilcock has made enough money living a millionaire's lifestyle while, by the way, pretending to be destitute and trying to survive in the woods, right? In an uninsulated log cabin that just so happens to be $1 million mansion with modern heat and modern lighting and everything. And I guess I take offense to him because, while I was building my cabin, I was truly in the middle of winter in a cabin with no insulation. This house he's living in has these 3-foot wide logs. There doesn't need to be insulation. He's not cold. He's got gas or oil heat or some form of modern heat, but he has a fireplace, for looks. It's not for heat. He's not heating his home, his 5,000 square foot home, by going out and, could anybody imagine David Wilcock actually, working for a day in his life, like processing firewood all day? He's not heating his home from firewood. He's lying to you. He's pretending to be some mountain hermit living in a log cabin talking to angels. He's living in $1 million plus mansion that was all purchased by selling fake stories. He's got modern heat. He's got all of the modern conveniences, and he is lying to you in order to dramatize things and make you feel sorry for him and make you give him money. Don't be a victim. Demand that he prove all this past bullshit before you buy any of his new bullshit. And this, my friends, will conclude our presentation for tonight. So we made it through. This is the David Wilcock update, which, by the way, involves hovercars, dildos. I didn't talk about that. Famously, this man has claimed to have all kinds of superpowers. Now he's claiming he has telekinetic superpowers, but before it was prophetic superpowers, and he's a psychic, and he's in contact with extra dimensional beings and angels and saints and Egyptian gods. So I famously challenged him. I promised him I would give him $10,000. Somewhere in the world, there is a big box of dildos buried for David Wilcock. And if he could find that box of dildos with his superpowers, I'll give him $10,000. And when you see where it is, oh, I can't wait. The big reveal's coming soon. Maybe I will time the big reveal with his new live streams selling his fake garbage, right? And I will show you this man has no psychic powers. When you see where that box is buried, there will be no doubt to anyone that he has no superpowers. He's no prophet. He is a liar, a deceiver, and a false prophet. Don't be fooled. And for God's sakes, everybody stop giving this clown money, because that's all he wants from you. So I should remind you of a few things. And that is, I mentioned it's a big club, and the people in that big club make huge amounts of money. $10,000 to talk at one UFO conference, thousands of dollars to talk at one online event, millions of dollars or $750,000 to teach one class that is filled with worthless fake information cobbled together from various sources on the internet that you can find for free if you choose to. It's a big club, and I ain't in it. But the good news is, because I'm not in it, I can tell you the truth. But of course, we don't make those big bucks. But I wouldn't trade my morality or my integrity or some ethical compass to make those big bucks by lying to people. And we consider that what we do here, we consider it important work to fully inform the public about these grifters, these charlatans, these false prophets running around stealing. In my opinion, they're stealing money from people for fake nonsense. We consider this important work, and we are a viewer-supported show. So if you're feeling generous, here's our announcer, Ian, to let you know how you can help. And I'll also be having our announcer remind some of you listening in the audio podcast land how you can help as well. It's not always about throwing a couple of bucks in our hat. There's other ways that you can help us. So we'll be right back. And after we return, we'll read every single super chat, every single PayPal, and we will have time for questions and comments from the live chat. Please put your questions or comments or things you want me to share on the screen in all capital letters. We'll be right back, friends.
Truthseekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month, you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Campion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members-only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Thanks for being here. This is Truth Seekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like, and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat room during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers.
All right, we're back. Let's read some super chats. Just so everybody is aware, we read every single super chat. We check in with all the PayPal pledges and read every one of those as well. We like to thank every single person. And if you become a member, channel member during the live broadcasts, as long as I see the notice in the live chat, we share that and thank you as well. We're thankful for the support that we have. And by the way, I want to thank all of you because today, while preparing for today's live broadcast, we've been having some trouble with the old video editing software that I've been using for many years. And thanks to the generosity and support of all of you, recently I bought a new video editing suite. I'm still learning it. I'm sort of still doing half of the show's work in the old one because it's just quicker for me, but slowly learning the new one. And some kind of rendering strange problems with the old software. And, you know, it'll get to like 3 seconds of finishing a render after 25 minutes and then stop and won't finish. So I was able to render many of the videos that we use to support this broadcast in the new software. I want to thank all you Patreon supporters, channel members, super chatters, super sticker purchasers, PayPalers, Cash App people, sending pledges. It really does help. It's nice to have a couple of bucks in the till. If we need something like software, we can purchase it thanks to your generosity and support. So we're going to read some super chats and thank every single one of you. I apologize when we have these long presentations; it's difficult to get through it all, and sometimes we don't stop and read the super chats as they go. So in that case, we read them all at the end here, and we want to thank all of you. We want to thank My Flock is Everywhere with kind and generous $2. Have a great show, Stephen. Praise the cash, giggle. Praise the cash, Stephen, giggle, and thanks with another kind and generous $2. Thank you, My Flock is Everywhere. And with a 99-cent super sticker, smiley face with sunglasses. I think that's supposed to be me. Thank you, My Flock is Everywhere, for your kindness, generosity, and support. And we thank Anthony Peterson for a kind and generous $2 super chat. Says Stephen is righteous today. He's on fire with spirit. Yes, I thank you, Anthony Peterson, for recognizing that we're doing God's work here. We are dispelling liars and deceivers and false prophets, and that is a righteous pursuit. Thank you, Anthony Peterson, for your kindness, generosity, and support. DJ Breeze with a kind and generous $5 super sticker. I think that's a blue chicken. My Flock is Everywhere with another happy smiley face. And UFO John Doe with another $1.99. Jenny McCarthy hit you back. No, but I told you, every time I see a super chat from you, or you just remind me in the live chat, you don't always have to send a super chat, I will send her another email. So I'll send her another email and we'll see what we can't do about getting her on the record to ask her about all of these issues and ask her if she's going into business with a fake, provably fake, under oath admitted fake secret space program insider, right? Yeah, I would love to interview her about all of these issues, and hopefully I get the chance. So we'll take some comments and questions from the live chat. Truthseekers, will you show us the amazing Lil Dave and Corey spitting truth video before the ending? I'm not sure which video you're talking about. If I have it here in my bumpers, I'd be happy to share it with all of you. Mario's Taco says, Sweet Caroline, yeah, he also has as many haters. I guess she is one of them. Yeah, and oh, look at that. New member, DJ D's become a member. Thank you, DJ D's. For those unaware, I hate putting things behind a paywall, but it has become necessary. So our paywall really is, we have two. One of them is $1 a month, which I think is very affordable. I would rather hundreds of people pay $1 than a few people pay 20 or something a month. You know, it's tough out there, so we try to keep it as low as possible. And by the way, the Patreon is $1 or more a month. People can choose to send 20 or 100 or whatever you want every month, and that'll be recurring every month. We thank all of you kind and generous Patreon supporters. So we put some extra goodies and content on the Patreon, but now we're also putting them in the channel member section. So you can become a channel member, and there are some private channel member videos. And every time I post something to Patreon, I also post it for the channel members, and that's $5 a month, but you also get some extra YouTube goodies if you become a YouTube channel member as opposed to a Patreon supporter. You get the same benefits, but if you're a channel member, you get some extra goodies from YouTube. And here's Al Warrior, longtime supporter. I didn't know he wasn't a YouTube member, becoming a YouTube member. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And yeah, this is great to see. I'm happy for the support. And thanks to DJ D's as well, who just became a YouTube member. Love to see it, and thank you both for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. you can go to the community tab and go to the members only section, and there's some extra goodies for you. And YouTube members also get a little channel badge and some, so people here in the live chat know that you're a member and a channel supporter and a big supporter of the show. And we're supposed to do priority reply. In other words, if I see a member in the live chat ask a question, they're the front of the line. This is the way I'm told many of these channels do it. But this is not to say you have to send money to get anything. So if you'd like your comment or question shared on the screen or talked about here, you are most welcome as well. Just put your question or comment in all caps, and I will be happy to share it. Mario's Taco is here. I don't know how to become a member from my region, so I am a newbie. There's a join button right at the main page of our channel here. Just go to our main channel, and there's a join button, and that's how you become a member. It's $5 a month or whatever in US dollars or whatever the equivalent we can take. We have members from all over the world. I'm so happy to see there's members from Mexico, members from Australia, members from England, members from, I saw one from Croatia. Great. There's some in Africa. There's some in the Middle East. It's amazing to me with this modern technology, we can reach out and touch so many people throughout the world, and they can reach back and put some money in my pocket. Love it. Praise the cash. Praise the cash from all over the world. Yeah. And Craig is here with an interesting comment. Craig Williams says Wilcox is conflating his brother's nickname, Obadias, as being Obi-Wan, which is not. Well, that's what liars do. They embellish, they change, they exaggerate. That's what David Wilcock does, right? Complicated. What is your take on Angeli and Elizondo teaming up now? Are they Dino Beavers? I didn't know they were teaming up. I'm going to have to find out about this, right? Yeah, I'm not sure it's easy to do from there. If you can't find the join button, you will need to log into YouTube from your laptop or PC, whatever, because sometimes your phone won't let you join. Yeah, I've noticed that. So I appreciate those people, and I appreciate you, Sweet Caroline. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Sweet Caroline is a longtime show supporter. And boy, there we got another one from Sweet Caroline. That's funny. Sweet Caroline with a kind and generous $20 PayPal pledge, who says, tonight was a banger of a show, and applause from Sweet Caroline. Thank you, Caroline, for your kindness, generosity, and support. It's much, much appreciated. And I should be encouraging people as well. If you're feeling generous and you have something large to send, we like to encourage people to use the PayPal, and the instructions for how to do that are in the description of the video. And that's simply because PayPal takes a little chunk of it. YouTube takes a big chunk. So if you're feeling extremely generous and you're going to send something big like Caroline just did, it helps if you send it through PayPal. And we use all of these funds to cover the show's expenses. We had some increased expenses with some software needs, and also with the StreamYard software we use, we're paying twice as much as we used to for it, but now we're able to broadcast to many more locations. By the way, today I want to apologize to you people that we're watching on DLive, but there's some issue going on with DLive, so we're not broadcasting there live tonight, but we are broadcasting live here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Odyssey, and Rumble, all at the same time. This is part of our new distribution network. And to those asking, the audio podcast is usually updated right after the show. In other words, as soon as the live show ends, we then upload, or will be uploading this straight to our distribution point, Hub, Spreaker, and then it goes out to Apple, iTunes, and all of the other places. And by the way, we want to thank all of our new friends listening to the audio podcast. I'm aware that many people drive for a living or make deliveries, and they need and want the audio podcast because of, they can't be watching videos while they're driving a truck or driving a delivery van or whatever, or Ubering or being a taxi driver. So my greetings to all you people out there earning a living and listening to us. I get messages from all over the world, and I love hearing that. You know, there's some guy driving a cab in London listening to us. Love hearing those stories. Feel free to reach out to me with your story at truthseekershow@gmail.com. Let me get over to the public profile. So we want to thank all of you audio podcast listeners. And just so you're aware, you can listen on Spreaker, on the Spreaker podcast player. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Good Pods, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and GeoSaban. So basically anywhere where pods are cast, you can get our podcast. Love and appreciate all you audio podcast listeners, but please do take Ian's advice and come on over to YouTube, Truth Seekers in the search bar. Go to that channel, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you too will know when we're doing a live taping. You are most welcome, right? Star Hunter says Wilcock accepts food stamps for his books or stock in his magic car company. Well, I don't know that that's true, but it's funny. Okay. Yes, and Sweet Caroline, thank you for helping people with the Patreon. The Patreon is $1 and it gets automatically deducted. You're correct. It gets automatically deducted like any other auto payment you have set up, just like Netflix. And you can cancel at any time. Same for the channel memberships. I get it. It's a changing world, and sometimes people have some extra money. They want to become a channel member. Great. But if you're having a tough time next month, cancel it. You know, you're not going to upset me. I get it. Occasionally I get a message when somebody will cancel the Patreon or the membership and say, hey, I'm sorry, Steven. And then, you know, I'm having a tough time. Look, I get it. It's rough out there. So don't feel bad. You know, obviously your own personal expenses and everything is much more important. If you have a couple of bucks to spare, yeah, throw them into our hat. But if not, no worries at all. And by the way, I should also mention this. I don't like putting things behind a paywall. And it's tough out there right now. So if you're having a tough time and you're a really big fan of the show and you'd like to get those extra goodies, but you just don't have a couple bucks to spare to become either a Patreon supporter for $1 or a channel member for $5, don't worry about it. Just email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. And I don't need to know your whole story, you know. I'm sure there's a lot of sad stories out there. That's your business. Just put in the description of the video Patreon or channel member benefits, or I'm sorry, put in the subject line Patreon or channel member benefits, and then just write me a quick note saying I'm having a rough time, big fan of the show, can I get the extra goodies? And I will send you, I have a list of email addresses that we are sending to people that are having a tough time. It's the least that I could do. And then you can help the show in other ways, like share these videos on your social media, like and comment, right? Send our channel addresses to other people and ask them to subscribe if you think they would enjoy our show. There's lots of ways to help our show, and I'm thankful for all you people I see retweeting stuff. By the way, you can follow me either on Facebook. It's just my name, Stephen Cambion. But that user ID on Facebook is getting filled up, and I'm having trouble accepting new friend requests. Maybe I'll go through and delete people that aren't very active there. You can also follow us on Facebook. Just look for Truth Seekers. Put Truth Seekers in the search bar. You'll find the page for the show. Otherwise, follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambion to keep up with all of the latest happenings for the show. And Sweet Caroline says that's a great idea. And I have to say that, listen, the other people that do have a couple of bucks, I kind of asked a bunch of people, like, do you guys mind if I give the stuff to people who don't have $1 or don't have $5? Everybody that I asked a bunch, said, why would I mind? No, give it to them. So it's a tough economy out there. People are struggling. And if you're a big fan of the show, we don't want $1 or $5 to keep, to keep you from getting those extra goodies. And the extra goodies, people ask me about them. I post my music on Patreon. I post some writings on Patreon. I post backstage stuff, like if I'm testing a new character or I'm finishing some new video to be used in the show. First, it goes on Patreon and the channel members. And then there is also some videos every month just for Patreon supporters and members. Things like the monthly show journal. I talk about what's going on backstage in the past and all that kind of stuff. And it's all there for you channel members or Patreon supporters. Sweet Caroline, you need to remove Cash App until you figure out the problem, because I double checked that I was sending directly to your username and not the full email address. You're right. I'm going to do that then. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to go over there and take it off right now before I forget. So please, nobody use the Cash App until whatever the problem is with that. There's some issue where they're telling me to sign up and I already have an account. 1 second. Yeah, we'll take that off. Or maybe I don't know. I don't know how to fix that problem, Sweet Caroline. I'm going to look into it, though. Maybe I'll reach out. They're going to have some kind of tech support. I know there's a couple $100 in there because we never taken anything out of Cash App. Yeah. Yeah. I did. I just removed Cash App from the description of the video. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad. I heard that you were able to get it back. You can cancel a Cash App. Good to know. But I'll fix the Cash App. In the meantime, please, everybody just use PayPal or Super Chats to throw money at us. That's great. Yeah, I got to figure out how to, get the money. Maybe I'll just get the money out of Cash App that we have in there and just use PayPal. I prefer PayPal. Cash App's a little wonky to me, and it's creating all these problems. It's probably not worth continuing. Mario's Tico says, and thanks for the show, Stephen. Well, thank you. Right? And Complizert says, I would still like to approach Anjali's secret cave. I would put on some purple body paint anytime for shizzle, my nizzle. Yeah, that's funny. And we're going to have Anjali as a guest host here, believe it or not. Well, a character of Anjali. And that's coming to you either this week or next week. I have the character ready. I have the script ready. We're going to do that. And by the way, I should remind everybody that the Golden Probe Awards are coming up. So you can see on our channel, there's a video about the Golden Probe Awards. And also in the description of this video is a video link that goes to the nominations and how to vote. I'm nominated for a few things. I think it's Best UFO Skeptic and most likely to lawyer up. And considering I'm getting legal threat letters hurled at me from people like Corey Goode or other people, I probably am most likely to lawyer up, right? Sweet Caroline says, everyone had a great time tonight. Tonight's show was 10 out of 10. Well, thank you, Sweet Caroline, for your comment. I appreciate your support. I will always be here, Truth Seeker. Thank you, Rorschach Mad, longtime show supporter from way back. I'm always happy to see people that have been here for a long time, especially when they're gone for a little while and pop back up, right? Chris Johansson, Tom, he will say his spirit guides have told him Corey has gone to the dark side. Yeah, I think he's going to ignore the whole thing, Chris Johansson, but he should be forced. He should have to say something. He grifted off of people, taking money from people, telling people that this was a real secret space program whistleblower insider this whole time, when he clearly was not, because he's never been to space physically, right? James Pepper posted on my Twitter. Yeah. Oh no. Terry Joyce's can of crazy is still going on, right? Yeah. Well, I thank you for those people who are sending stuff. And by the way, happy holidays to all, no matter what you celebrate. You know, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate. This is a great time of the year, right? Can I play the two clown conversation? Well, it's a little long, so not right now, but it is in our channel. Just go to videos and you should see the clown video. Copley Zared is talking about a project we did where we had two clown puppets sort of act out these two clowns, Corey Goode and David Wilcock, doing their cosmic disclosure scam. And it's funny. And it's even funnier now that we know that Corey Goode was a lying clown and David Wilcock was a lying clown for going along with it, right? Did I really read the entire book? Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty quick book. Maybe I might have. I read it through it really quickly. And I was trying to get to, like, there's got to be something in here that's not garbage. No, I stand by my book review. To the best of my knowledge, I'm the first person to review David Wilcock's new book, and I think it is garbage. I think that book is full of lies, half-truths, and nonsense, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, even for free, right? Wouldn't recommend it. And you warn us about the alien perverts. Well, they do like to probe people, yeah, and seem to be very preoccupied with butt stuff. So I'd be very cautious of aliens based on their history, right? If the stories are true, they really like to anally probe people, according to Whitley Strieber and others. You know, who knows? Who knows? Yeah, and there's crazy new prophecies. It's going to be some time before we see if any of the prophecies come true. I am betting none of them will, based on his past track record of getting everything wrong constantly. And hey, I'll be the first to apologize. If all those prophecies start turning out to be true, that would mean that maybe he is in contact with the angelic forces, because the angelic forces wouldn't give people lies to disseminate. They would only give people divine truth. But do I think that David Wilcock has any divine truth? No, because if he did, he wouldn't be selling it for cash. Right? DJ D's is here, new channel member, by the way. Thank you for that. And says Corey probed a lot of wallets. Yeah, they're good at that stuff. And Tom Foolery says aliens love butt stuff. Yes. Gabber Beast TV is here and says Sweet Caroline wants to get probed by the handsome Nordic Venusian cougar snatching aliens. I don't know about that. She's not old enough. She's still too young and hot. She's got to be an old hot chick before the Venusian dudes wanted to, you know, bang her. Who performed the rap video earlier? That was a collaboration, actually. Ryan Gable from The Secret Teachings. By the way, you can go to thesecretteachings.info. He made the rap song, and then Kari and I did the music video, which I think is funny because there's like dancing midgets and aliens and stuff. That's a bad word, sorry. Dancing little people. Well, I think it was like an imp or something, not really a true little person. And aliens, and of course it looks like David Wilcock is in the corners dancing. That's just some animated GIF that people have been using to make fun of David Wilcock for quite some time. Complete Air says it's all about fan fiction. I agree. Al Warrior says Corey is good with an E at lying. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, bad word. I get no, it's true though, Sweet Caroline. I shouldn't use derogatory terms. Like a lot of people can't stand when people use the R word when they call somebody stupid. You know what word. And me having a special needs child, I agree with that. That's a really bad term to use, right? And also the term for little people should be whatever they prefer. Little people, dwarves, you know, whatever they prefer. The M word is no longer acceptable, apparently. And I have that from somebody I know who was affected by that. And I asked him, what is the proper term? And he said, you could say little people or dwarfs. And I said, okay, you know, because that's what he prefers. Other people may prefer other terms or not be bothered by that. But by and large, I think that many of them are bothered by that. And we should make an effort not to use those derogatory terms. Sweet Caroline is busting my balls. I have a wife for that. She does plenty of that, Sweet Caroline. She don't need no help from you, lady, okay? She does not need any help from you, right? So what can I say, friends? We've made it through another exciting adventure through the land of lies, deception, and conspiracy land, right? And I, for one, am glad. And I do want to apologize for being absent here yesterday. But boy, last week we released something like more than 32 hours, I think, maybe 34 hours of content in one 7-day period. It was the most content we've ever put out in 1 week, but it was necessitated by the legal situation where those things might change, the status might change, and we wanted to get all that information out to everybody before that happened. Turns out, I didn't know it, but we have until January sometimes before the status on that stuff might change. In the meantime, it's all available for here. You can watch the Corey Goode depositions right here on our channel. There's a playlist for with commentary and a playlist for without commentary. And the very next playlist that I'm making is the Wacky World of Wilcock. So that's all I got for you, friends. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. I want to thank our kind and generous benefactors, PayPal supporters, super chatters, super sticker purchasers, super thanks people. Yes, you could send money after the show ends by using the super thanks button. Thanks to you Patreon supporters and to you channel members. Thanks to the chat room moderators, and thanks so much to everybody that I see sharing the show, commenting on the show, rating the show if you're listening to an audio podcast with 5 stars, sharing it on your Twitter, sharing it on your Facebook. It really does help. Thanks to all of you. So that's all we got for you, friends. And in closing, I would like to just say that I mentioned wanting a road to redemption for Corey Goode. Well, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't also want a road to redemption for David Wilcock. David Wilcock, like Corey Goode, is an extremely intelligent, creative person. I don't believe David Wilcock is as smart as he thinks he is. After all, he said he had an IQ of 180, I think, which would make him smarter than, Einstein. But he's intelligent. He's well educated, thanks to his parents' money, spoiled rich kid money. He's got to be able to do something with his life that is meaningful. Selling people fake stories is not meaningful. No one will remember him when he's gone if all he does for the rest of his life is continue to sell provably fake stories from provably fake sources. And for all of his knowledge of spirituality and esoteric world, he seems to have no conscience about selling people fake or false information from fake and false sources for cash. And I get it. Money is addictive and it is intoxicating. And so is attention and spotlight. I will pray that David Wilcock stops lying to people, stops selling provably fake stories from provably fake sources, or just inventing stories about talking to angels when he can't prove it, or talking to saints when he can't prove it, or having conversations with the Blessed Mary or interactions with the Blessed Mary when he can't prove that either. I mean, there's got to be something better that he can do with his life other than just take people's money for provably fake stories. So just like Corey Goode, I have sympathy and empathy for David Wilcock. I think he got started in this thing. The money was huge. He had no other interest in doing anything else with his life that would be more meaningful. He fell into the trap and started getting famous for talking about these strange subjects. And maybe, just maybe, in the beginning, he had good intentions. But somewhere along the way, he lost any form of morality, any form of ethics, any form of conscience. And he was just willing to sell garbage to people that sounded good, or that he knew people would purchase in order to make millions. And he's made millions and millions of dollars selling this garbage. None of it with any real or verifiable proof, at least not, anything approaching what I would call verifiable evidence or proof. It's, at very best, he has maybe tantalizing evidence. But maybe tantalizing evidence isn't real evidence. And just like Corey Goode, I wish David Wilcock a road to redemption. I hope that he finds something better to do with his life. So just like I prayed for Corey Goode the other night, actually I prayed for him every night we did those shows, I'm going to pray for David Wilcock tonight that he will find a road to redemption, that he will stop selling garbage to people, and that he will find something more meaningful, more fulfilling, and more glorifying to his God-given talents to do other than what he's been doing, which is selling provably fake garbage information from provably fake garbage people like Corey Goode, like Bill Brockbrader, like Daniel Brinkley, like Pete Peterson. The ego is a powerful thing. And I think David Wilcock can admit that those big money days, just like Corey Goode, are likely over for him. And now might be a good time to reevaluate his life and figure out something better to do than selling garbage fake information. I do wish him a road to redemption. He's got God-given talent, skills, and abilities. I just wish that he would do something with those God-given talent, skills, and abilities that glorifies God rather than offends or makes God ashamed of him. He's walking around talking about he's talking to angels. God is ashamed of this man for lying to people for money for decades. And I could be wrong, but I don't think that he's in communication with any angelic forces. I said it before, he's more than likely in communication with demonic forces, liars, tricksters, deceivers. That is what demonic forces are. And time will tell. And all these ridiculous prophecies in his book that won't come true, it'll be proven in time. Until then, I'll be praying that David Wilcock finds some road to redemption. So that's all we got for you, friends. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll have some new and exciting adventures that you can take with us. You're here for the journey, and so am I. And I'm so glad to take you all with me on the journey. So now we've reached the end of this journey. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be taking a new one. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you. Has no one in the UFO community showed you the truth? Garbage peddler! Why has no one in the UFO community showed you the truth? Garbage peddler! Why has no one in the UFO community showed you the truth? Garbage peddler! Why has no one in the UFO community showed you the truth? Garbage peddler club, and I ain't it. Cosmicon Shuffle. Cosmicon Shuffle. Garbage peddler club, and I ain't it. Cosmicon Shuffle. Cosmicon Shuffle. Garbage peddler club, and I ain't it. Cosmicon Shuffle. goddamn ball shavings analysis? Alien technology. Alien technology. Where's the goddamn ball shavings analysis? He is lying. He is lying. He is lying. He is lying. Where's the goddamn ball shavings analysis? Alien technology. Alien technology. Where's the goddamn ball shavings analysis? He is lying. He is lying. He is lying. He is lying. Bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
If I call your mother a hooker, I don't care. If I call your mother a hooker, I don't care. If I call your mother a hooker, I don't care. If I call your mother a hooker, I don't care. I'm an intel guy. 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 I don't care. I'm an intel guy. Arts that we're making movies and video games out of. My spirit guides from me. They came from me. They came from me. They came from me. Creative arts that we're making movies and video games out of. My spirit guides from me. They came from me. They came from me. They came from me. Creative evolution, whatever you want to call it. I call it my intellectual property. Whatever you want to call it. I call it my intellectual property. Freedom of evolution, whatever you want to call it. I call it my intellectual property. Freedom of evolution, whatever you want to call it. I call it my intellectual property. Dark Fleet is a fictional space group out in space. It is the story. It is the story. It is the story. It is the story. Dark Fleet is a fictional space group out in space. It is the story. It is the story. It is the story. It is the story. Yes, I did make up stories about the secret space program out in space. Yes, I did make up stories about the secret space program. Yes, I did make up stories about the secret space program out in space. Yes, I did make up stories about the secret space program.
Did you ever go to space?
Did I ever go to space?
Yes.
In my physical body?
Yes.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I don't believe so.